Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. If Yukino-senpai heard this, she'd be heartbroken. She's not here right now, so what's the problem? Hakuman replied nonchalantly. Ayaroa hesitated, then hurriedly protested, even so, senpai, you shouldn't be so unfaithful. I can't help it. Ayaroa-chan is just too cute. I've never been able to resist cute things, so. Go ahead you. Ugh. Seeing Hakuman lean in slightly, as if really waiting for a kiss, Ayaroa became flustered. Are you serious? Of course. Or are you scared? Ugh. Who's scared? You. You shameless senpai, fine. I'll do it. I'll do it, okay? Ugh. Stupid senpai. Feeling provoked by Hakuman's teasing gaze, Ayaroa's pride flared up, and she agreed on impulse. Stupid senpai, see, close your eyes first. Alright. Ugh. He actually closed them. Ayaroa's heart pounded wildly as she stared at Hakuman's lips. She pursed her own lips. Swallowed nervously. Come to think of it, her first accidental kiss had also been with senpai. Memories of yesterday's events flooded her mind, along with all the other moments they had shared. Honestly, kissing him really wasn't a big deal. In fact, she even felt a little excited. She was actually looking forward to it. A kiss. A kiss. Senpai. Ayaroa slowly closed her eyes, leaning in. But before their lips could touch, Hakuman suddenly placed a hand over her mouth and said quietly, "Alright, enough joking. I'll help you seriously, but let's skip the kiss." Ayaroa's eyes snapped open, utterly dumbfounded. What the hell? I was already getting ready to take my pants off, and now you tell me this? Let go, I'm heading to the service club now. Hakuman reminded her. Realizing she had been played, Ayaroa fumed on the spot. Senpai. You dared to toy with me? You shameless jerk. You don't get a choice, I'm kissing you whether you like it or not. Huh? Ayaroa, fueled by frustration, lunged at him. Wait. How do girls suddenly gain superhuman strength when they're messing with guys? Their faces grew dangerously close. Hey. No way. She's really going to force a kiss on me? But just as Ayaroa was about to launch her attack, an urgent voice interrupted them from behind. What the hell are you two doing? Exclamation mark. The moment those words reached their ears, Ayaroa's face paled, and she immediately let go of Hakuman. Hakuman, too, quickly composed himself. They turned around. Holding her school bag, her face flushed with irritation, Kawasaki stormed toward them. As Saki-senpai. Ayaroa nervously brushed her messy hair and greeted her hesitantly. Hikigaya. Ignoring Ayaroa for the moment, Kawasaki fixed Hakuman with a sharp, interrogative gaze. Clearing his throat, Hakuman quickly explained, "We were just discussing the student council." The student council? Kawasaki looked unconvinced. It's true. I ran into some trouble and asked senpai for help. Ayaroa quickly backed him up. Then why were you two grabbing each other like that? Kawasaki frowned. I was just hugging senpai a little. We weren't doing anything weird. Besides, Saki-senpai, didn't you let senpai carry you that weekend behind Yukino-senpai's back? Ayaroa pouted. You. Kawasaki's expression instantly changed. Seeing her reaction, Hakuman immediately jumped in, cough. That was because Kawasaki sprained her foot. Anyway, let's leave it at that. I'm heading to the service club now. You two should get to your clubs too. With that, Hakuman quickly made his escape. Kawasaki, too, stood frozen for a moment before swiftly leaving. Saki-senpai. Ayaroa rubbed her chin thoughtfully. Her instincts told her something was definitely going on between those two. Could they really have something going on? Frowning in thought for a few seconds, she quickly lost interest in Kawasaki's affairs and instead recalled what had just happened between her and Hakuman. Never in a million years did she expect to lose control like that and nearly force herself on him. Senpai. Senpai smelled really good. And his body was surprisingly nice too. Swallowing lightly, Ayaroa pressed a hand against her chest, feeling the heat rise inside her. She instinctively squeezed her thighs together as her voice grew softer. If it really happened. Senpai might not be so bad after all. Ugh, I really want to. Iroha-chan, a gentle voice suddenly drifted into Iroha's ears. Her body tensed instantly. She snapped out of her daydream and turned her head sharply. There stood Yukino Shitayukino. Her face was calm, her expression soft. She even had a gentle smile. Iroha's face stiffened, her eyes going wide in horror. Why Yukino-senpai? Oh crap. Did she just hear my pervy thoughts about senpai? Chapter 198, Yukino Shita's irresistible pampering of her beloved husband. Why are you so happy today? After the service club's activities ended, Hikigaya and his girlfriend, Yukino Shita, headed home together. However, seeing the radiant smile on his girlfriend's face, Hikigaya couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. Hee, you almost slipped on the stairs just now. Your expression was so funny. Huh? Hey. Flushing slightly, Hikigaya exhaled in exasperation. Don't take pleasure in my misfortune. Yukino Shita simply smiled without saying a word. Hikigaya sighed. The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked out of the school. Hidden within Yukino Shita's gentle smile, however, was something else, a deep satisfaction with how things were progressing with a certain underclassman. A few minutes ago, Yukino Shita had a casual conversation with Ishiki about Hikigaya. During that time, she had naturally taken the opportunity to gently push Ishiki toward making a move on him. Though Ishiki had left in a fluster, Yukino Shita could clearly sense the shift in her emotions. Hey. In the future, if she just gave things a little nudge here and there, Ishiki might completely fall for her beloved husband. After all, that girl was very proactive. There was a real possibility that she'd drag Hikigaya to bed one of these days. Currently, out of the 3 tasks she had set for herself: 1. Getting Hikigaya to Kisuke. 2. Progress made. 2. Getting Kawasaki and Kasumadoka to train her husband. Progress made. 3. Finding a new training partner for her husband. Still unfinished. Her original candidates for the 3rd task were Yu's mother, Sawamura Sayuri, and Mira. She had planned to pick one of them to gift to her husband's bed. But now, Ishiki could be a good option too. Sigh. Sometimes, having too many choices was a problem. Who should be her beloved husband's next woman? This was a tough decision. While internally debating this, Yukino Shita and Hikigaya quietly walked out of the school gates. As soon as they stepped outside, a sleek blue sports car was parked right at the entrance. The window rolled down, revealing an elegant face. Haruno grinned and waved enthusiastically. Yukino-chan Hiki. Both Hikigaya and Yukino Shita tensed up. Under Haruno's relentless enthusiasm, the two eventually resigned themselves to getting into the car. Shopping for clothes is such a simple thing. You could have gone on your own. Yukino Shita frowned. Shopping alone is boring, Haruno giggled as she drove. Besides, you could use some new outfits, too. I don't need any. Yukino Shita replied flatly. Really? Hee, the underwear you used to wear was so plain. I don't think Hiki would like them much, huh? You underwear? Peepan? Face flushing, Yukino Shita stared in shock. Onsama, you're buying those kinds of clothes? Fufafu you. Ugh. Hikigaya, listening from the side, tried his best to pretend he didn't exist. However, the conversation still made his heart involuntarily skip a beat. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level -1? Yukino Shita stiffened. She stole a quick glance at Hikigaya, who was keeping a straight face. His corruption level decreased? Wait, could it be that Hikigaya was excited about the idea of her changing her underwear? Or was he hoping she'd wear some special ones? Her face turned crimson as she shyly lowered her head. Her delicate fingers unconsciously reached out to grasp Hikigaya's hand. Hikigaya instinctively resisted at first, but, after a few seconds, he let her hold on. Fine. She did wear some plain underwear before, so maybe she should buy a few that Hikigaya would like. Yeah. Might as well take this chance to help lower her beloved husband's corruption level, too. Yukino Shita quietly made up her mind. A few minutes later, the 3 of them arrived at a shopping mall. As the sisters chatted ahead, Hikigaya trailed behind like a completely uninvolved bystander. But when they reached the entrance of a lingerie store, Hikigaya's expression immediately stiffened. You two go ahead. I'll wait outside. Oh. But we can't just leave Hiki all alone, can we? Seeing Hikigaya trying to back away, Haruno grinned and grabbed his arm. She then turned to her sister. Right, Yukino-chan? Yukino Shita hesitated for a moment before quickly catching on. She also grabbed Hikigaya's other arm. Hikigaya-kun, come inside with us. Sandwiched between the two sisters, Hikigaya broke out in a cold sweat. Sighing helplessly, he finally gave in. Fine. I'll go in, okay? Just let go of me first. Hee, what's this? Getting shy now? I thought guys love being stuck between two girls. Haruno teased. On-sama. Even though she wanted to keep clinging to her beloved husband, Yuki no Shita still put on a proper front and lightly coughed. Hikigaya-kun is my boyfriend. Don't get too close to him. Fufafu Yuki no-chan, you're so possessive. Fine, fine. Haruno reluctantly let go. And so, the three of them stepped into the lingerie store. For the first time in his life, Hikigaya found himself surrounded by an overwhelming display of delicate, lacy, and scandalous garments. His face instantly turned red. Haruno playfully picked out a few extremely risque pieces and showed them to Yuki no Shita. Yuki no Shita immediately waved her hands in refusal, all the while sneaking glances at Hikigaya's reaction. After a few minutes, Haruno took a handful of items into the fitting room. Meanwhile, Yuki no Shita held a bra in one hand and a very bold black string-like garment in the other. Hikigaya-kun, eh? What? Startled, Hikigaya immediately averted his gaze. Come inside and help me. Huh? Inside the fitting room? Yes. I can't fasten this by myself. You'll help me, right? Wait, Yukino. Before he could protest further, Yuki no Shita forcefully dragged him into the fitting room. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level -1, hey. Trying to act all innocent, huh? Your mouth says no, but your body is way too honest. Hikigaya-kun, while I'm changing. Don't let any naughty thoughts cross your mind, okay? Oh, okay. Though. A little kiss wouldn't hurt. Okay, wait, what? Seeing her boyfriend's shocked expression, Yuki no Shita clenched her thighs together and whispered, voice trembling ever so slightly, if you really want to. You can kiss me anywhere. Yuki no Shita was being this bold today? Chapter 199, Taking Indecent Photos with Haruno? Ding. Hukuman Hikigaya's corruption level -2, ding. Hukuman Hikigaya's corruption level -1, ding. Hukuman Hikiga. The notifications continued for several minutes. Hikigaya stumbled out of Yuki no Shita's changing room, his face burning red. He pursed his lips, recalling what had just transpired between them. He took several deep breaths. Today's Yuki no Shita. She smelled way too good. If he had stayed in that changing room any longer, who knew what sort of terrible mistake he might have made. Sigh, Yuki no Shita. Hikigaya sighed. His girlfriend was far too good to him, going so far as to set aside her embarrassment and indulge him in that kind of thing, even in a public place. And what about himself? He had just done that with Kawasaki and his senpai earlier today. Hikuman, oh Hikuman. Yuki no Shita is your girlfriend. I love Yuki no Shita, deeply and forever. Standing silently at the doorway, Hikigaya kept reaffirming his resolve. A few minutes later, Yuki no Shita and her sister Haruno emerged from the changing room, both dressed in their new outfits. Hikigaya-kun, how does it look? Dressed entirely in black, Yuki no Shita looked at Hikigaya with a shy expression. His face instantly flushed as he failed to control his gaze, glancing her up and down several times before nodding lightly. And what about me? What about me? Haruno, dressed in pink, crossed her arms smugly and grinned at him. Hikigaya inhaled sharply, then simply said two words, looks good. Hearing this, Yuki no Shita couldn't help but laugh. Haruno, on the other hand, pouted in dissatisfaction. Looks good? What's that supposed to mean? It means it suits you. Hikigaya replied half-heartedly. Geez, Hikigaya-kun, you're so biased. Here I am, your amazing and dazzling senpai, and yet you keep staring at little Yukino like she's wearing something extraordinary. Her outfit is just okay, but you are practically gawking at her. Haruno pouted, teasing him. So my dear Hikigaya prefers the smaller ones, huh? Seeing her older sister's defeated expression, Yuki no Shita secretly felt pleased. However, sensing Haruno's increasingly annoyed gaze, she hesitated slightly, then suddenly clutched her stomach and let out a soft groan. Ugh, my stomach. Feels a bit uncomfortable. I need to go to the restroom. Eh? Huh? Both Hikigaya and Haruno were taken aback. Just a simple stomachache? Hikigaya asked with concern. Yuki no Shita nodded slightly. You didn't eat something bad? I just need to use the restroom, she explained. Eh? Hikigaya looked at her with a rather surprised expression. Blushing, Yuki no Shita huffed, what? Isn't it normal for me to use the restroom? It's not that, it's just. Glancing at Haruno, Hikigaya sighed. I remember you usually go in the morning. Huh? Yuki no Shita's face turned beet red. PFFT. Haruno burst out laughing. Hikigaya-kun, you always remember the weirdest things. You even know when little Yukino goes to the bathroom every day. You. Ugh. Yuki no Shita, utterly embarrassed, glared at Hikigaya. Today is an exception. Whatever, I'm not arguing with you anymore. I'm going. Hikigaya hesitated but didn't stop her, watching as she walked toward the restroom. His concern was partly about her health. But more importantly, now that Yuki Noshita was gone, what was he supposed to do? He was standing alone beside the final boss Haruno. Yuki Noshita, don't go. Don't leave me alone here. Hikigaya-kun, do you think little Yukino looks good? Suddenly, Haruno leaned in close, whispering into his ear with a playful smile. Hikigaya's body tensed as he instinctively took a step back from her. Wow, what an over-the-top reaction. Haruno blinked, visibly amused. Then, still smiling, she continued, now that little Yukino's gone, you can tell the truth, who's prettier, your girlfriend or me? Saying that, Haruno folded her arms, subtly emphasizing a certain difference in their proportions as she swayed in front of him. Is this woman even human? How did Yuki Noshita inherit nothing from her? Why Yuki Noshita? Hikigaya firmly reaffirmed his choice. Oh, Hikigaya-kun really does adore little Yukino, huh? Well then. Her eyes flickered mischievously. Then, suddenly, she grabbed Hikigaya's arm. His expression changed dramatically. What are you doing? SHH. Come inside, huh? Before he could react, Haruno pulled him into the changing room. His pupils shrank. Wait. Come help me, I just changed into a new set of lingerie. I need Hikigaya-kun's assistance. Wait. If you need help, ask Yuki Noshita when she gets back, but you just helped little Yukino, so why can't you help me? Hikigaya looked at her in shock. She knew. I also know exactly what you and little Yukino were doing in the changing room just now. Honestly, kids these days sure are bold. Haruno smirked, whispering teasingly. You? How do you know? Foo-foo, don't worry about that anyway, come on in. Grinning, Haruno dragged Hikigaya into the changing room. Such strength. Whoever ends up as Haruno's husband in the future. Can they even handle this demon? Inside the changing room. Faced with Haruno's relentless teasing, Hikigaya had no choice but to comply, silently helping her fasten the clasps of her lingerie. Several painstaking minutes later, as soon as he was done, Hikigaya tried to make his escape. And where do you think you're going? Haruno blocked the door with a sly smile. Avoiding eye contact, Hikigaya sighed. What do you want now? I want Hikigaya-kun to kiss my thigh. Haruno chuckled, extending a smooth, slender leg toward him. Hikigaya. You already kissed little Yukino in the changing room. So why not give your lovely senpai's thighs a little smooch? Come on, my dear foot fetish Hikigaya-kun. Haruno smirked, pulling out her phone. A phone? Wait. Is she trying to make me take more embarrassing indecent photos so she can show them off to her roommates? Hikigaya took a deep breath and calmly said, I didn't kiss Yuki Noshita just now. No way. Stop lying. Your lips totally look like you just kissed someone. I swear, I didn't. Then what were you and little Yukino doing in there for all those minutes? At this, Hikigaya's face turned red. Haruno. For a moment, the changing room fell into silence. As the seconds ticked by, Haruno's eyes widened. Wait. What the hell were you two doing in there for several minutes? Chapter 200, The Slappable Haruno. The boldly advancing Hikigaya. Yuki Noshita sat alone on the toilet. Her so-called stomachache was nothing but an excuse. She had deliberately left to create an opportunity for her sister, Haruno, and her beloved husband, Hikigaya, to be alone together. And sure enough, Haruno made her move. Pressing her lips together, Yuki Noshita tensed her legs, her heart filled with bitterness. Thinking back to Hikigaya's reluctant expression just now, she felt an inexplicable ache. I'm sorry, Hikigaya-kun. I had no other choice. Being alone with my sister is painful, isn't it? In the future, I will cherish you properly, Hikigaya-kun. I will be a gentle wife. For the rest of your life, even if you become a useless man, I won't mind. I will take care of you forever, Hikigaya-kun. Clutching her disheveled chest, Yuki Noshita murmured to herself. Just then, ding. Haruno. Yuki Noshita forcibly made Hikigaya-kun kiss her thigh, ding. Hikigaya-kun's corruption level +1, aw. Her body jolted as she snapped back to reality. Kissing her thigh? Ugh. Why does Hikigaya-kun always end up kissing your thigh? Can't you just... Cough, cough. Stay calm, stay calm. Kissing the thigh is... good. Yes. Good. Yuki Noshita placed a hand over her chest, feeling a sense of unease. Not good. Just now, she actually wished her sister would do something even more outrageous to her beloved. Like kissing. Or even hiss. Calm down, Yuki Noshita. That's your real sister. She took several deep breaths. Slowly, her emotions settled. Hearing the noises outside, Yuki no Shita instinctively glanced at her own thighs. Haruno's legs were indeed fair and smooth. But hers weren't any worse. Then why did kissing Haruno's leg increase Hikagaya's corruption level? Her heart skipped a beat. Now that I think about it, my sister's legs are fuller than mine. A little bigger, too. Could it be? No. My Hikigaya-kun prefers smaller ones. He doesn't like bigger ones at all. Hikigaya-kun likes me just the way I am. He said so himself. Yuki no Shita looked down, glancing at her own figure with growing insecurity. The more she looked, the more dejected she felt. Why? Wasn't it said that women get bigger after having a man? Why did she feel like she was shrinking instead? Meanwhile, in the women's changing room, not bad, not bad. This photo is great. Hikigaya-kun looks so shy in it. Fufu with her legs crossed, Haruno sat on a bench, gazing at the freshly taken photo on her phone, her eyes curving into crescents. Pressing his lips together, Hikigaya glanced at Haruno's exposed thigh, then quickly averted his gaze, taking a deep breath. Haruno-san, can I leave now? Wait a moment. Just as Hikigaya was about to turn and walk away, a smooth, beautiful leg blocked his path. What else? Hikigaya sighed. I already did what you asked. Hihon-chan is just curious. What exactly were you and little Yukino doing in the changing room? Can't you tell me? Just think of it as kissing. Hikigaya answered casually. Haruno was silent for a few seconds, then asked, who initiated it? You or little Yukino? I did. Hikigaya responded decisively. So you kissed little Yukino? Where exactly did you kiss her? Not the lips, then. Slowly, Haruno stood up, blocking the door. I told you, just assume we kissed. You. Haruno hesitated, then suddenly chuckled. Fine, fine. If you don't want to say, I won't force you. But let me ask you this, between the two of us, who tastes better? Me, or little Yukino? Can you not ask such weird questions just to satisfy your perverted hobbies? Hikigaya said, exasperated. Come on, Hikigaya-kun, just say it. If you give On-chan the answer she wants, I'll let you go, Haruno teased with a mischievous smile. The answer you want? Hikagaya's mouth twitched. Wasn't that just her way of forcing him to say, Haruno-san is the best? You're so much better than Yuki no Shita. Trying to make him say something morally corrupt? This devil. Hikigaya-kun, you're not even worth one strand of Yuki no Shita's hair. Even with Haruno's sweet, coaxing tone, Hikigaya remained steadfast. You Humphrey. Haruno immediately scowled, pouting in annoyance. Not even one strand of her hair? What am I lacking? Just? But? I completely outclass her in both, okay? Doesn't matter. You still don't compare to Yuki no Shita. Ugh. Just not as good as her? Fine, fine, fine. A sour, jealous air filled the room as Haruno leaned against the door, huffing. Hikigaya-kun, let me tell you, if you don't say I'm better than little Yukino today, I won't let you leave. Since childhood, she had never once lost to her sister. And now, Hikigaya had outright declared Yukino the winner without hesitation. How could someone as competitive as Haruno accept that? No matter what, she had to reclaim her pride. Haruno-san, Yuki no Shita will be done in the bathroom soon. If I don't leave now, she might misunderstand. Oh? Afraid now? Then just do as On-chan says. Come on, repeat after me, Haruno-san, you're the best woman ever. You're way better than Yuki no Shita. Haruno grinned smugly, her tone filled with mischief. Yuki no Shita is better than you. That will never change. Hikigaya declared unwaveringly. You. Seeing how stubborn he was, Haruno grew frustrated. If you don't say it, you're not leaving. Haruno-san, please don't do this. Hikigaya frowned slightly. Say it, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. If you're so afraid of Yukino-chan finding us here, then maybe I should let her see. She'd be so surprised. Haruno smirked. Maybe she should see the way you kissed my thigh just now. She'd so surprised you. Hikagaya's pupil shrank. That was it. He had reached his limit. With a surge of irritation, he raised his right hand and smacked Haruno's backside. You seriously need a beating. For a moment, silence. Haruno? Her face first turned pink. Then, in the next second, her expression twisted in pure fury. A seething, indescribable rage surged to the surface as she spoke through gritted teeth. Hikigaya-kun. Did you just hit my butt? Crap. His hand had moved on its own. Sorry. Haruno's expression was terrifying. Was the demon queen about to explode? Chapter 201, Hoshino-I takes the initiative. Just say yes. Hikigaya wasn't even sure what came over him. His hand instinctively swung out and smacked Haruno on the butt. Was it because he had smacked Kasumijokas before? And now he'd gotten used to it? His mind was in chaos, filled with dread at the realization. All done picking? You're not going to try on a few more? Haruno smiled at Yuki no Shita. No need. Yuki no Shita shook her head. Hee, those ones you picked earlier will definitely have Hikigaya-kun completely mesmerized. This guy was staring at the lingerie in your hands the whole time. Haruno grinned mischievously, her gaze naturally shifting to Hikigaya. Yuki no Shita's face turned bright red. Hikigaya's expression stiffened as he quickly averted his eyes. This woman. Haruno was seriously terrifying. Just a few minutes ago, in the fitting room, her expression had twisted into something monstrous as she unleashed a level of torment on him he had never experienced before. But now, outside, she had transformed into a gentle and harmless big sister figure, radiating warmth and friendliness. Sigh, women. Truly dangerous creatures. After finishing their shopping, Hikigaya and the others left the mall. As usual, Haruno drove them home. Before long, only Hikigaya and Haruno remained in the car. The atmosphere was eerily silent. Hikigaya shivered. After a few minutes, Haruno finally broke the silence with a smile. I might have gone a bit too far just now. I'm really sorry, Hikigaya-kun. No need to be so scared. I swear I won't be that mean to you in the future. Stompy. Ahem, I mean, bullying you like that definitely won't happen again. I should apologize too. Taking a deep breath, Hikigaya cautiously said, I accidentally. Hit your. At first I was pretty mad that you actually smacked my butt. But. Thinking about it, if it's Hikigaya-kun, it's not entirely unacceptable, huh? Oh? You're blushing. So deep down, you actually want to know. I don't. Hikigaya shook his head frantically, keeping his composure. I have absolutely zero interest in that kind of thing. Really? Don't most guys have some kind of preference when it comes to girls? That's other men. I don't have any weird fetishes. Have you ever smacked little Yukino's butt? Huh? And no way. How could I? Why would I do that? Really? Haruno looked at him in disbelief. It's true. Hikigaya's face turned slightly red as he quickly changed the subject. Focus on driving, Haruno-san. My driving skills are great, don't worry. With her eyes back on the road, Haruno smirked and added, but then again, little Yukino's butt is kinda small. Maybe Hikigaya-kun doesn't think it's worth the effort. Please stop assuming I have a thing for spanking women. I already told you it was just an accident. Haruno merely smiled in silence. A few minutes later, still seated in the car, Haruno watched as Hikigaya walked into his home. Absent-mindedly, her hand drifted to her own backside, gently pressing against it. Maybe. It's not that bad. Meanwhile, Hikigaya went about his usual routine. After greeting his sister and having dinner, he stepped out to exercise. Lately, he'd been feeling an overwhelming urge to get stronger. Sure, he could easily knock out some random delinquent with a single punch now, but against Haruno, he had been completely powerless, utterly dominated. And not just Haruno. There was also mini Haruno. Iroa. Despite always acting all soft and weak, these women possessed absurd levels of strength at crucial moments. He couldn't even put up a fight. Sigh, I'm still too weak. I need to keep training. Train like hell. Resolving himself, Hikigaya made his way to the park. Yumiko Mira was already there, warming up for an upcoming competition. Her long, toned legs stretched elegantly against a railing, her pale skin contrasting sharply in the night air. Even Hikigaya found it hard to look away, sneaking a few extra glances. Let's start. Noticing his gaze lingering on her legs, Mira's expression flickered with something unreadable before she hurriedly lowered her leg. Yeah. The two of them began warming up and training together. However, after a while, they eventually split off to do their own workouts. Huff. 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 After running for several minutes, Hikigaya gradually slowed down, transitioning into a casual walk before finally settling onto a bench to rest. Thirsty? A bit, yeah. Still catching his breath, Hikigaya absent-mindedly reached for the bottle of water handed to him. Then his entire body stiffened. His head jerked up in alarm. And when his eyes landed on the violet-haired girl standing before him, his hands trembled, sending the water bottle tumbling to the ground. Hoshino-san? The Hoshino Eye. The legendary idol. Oh, you dropped it. The girl bent down slowly, her perfect curves accentuated as she retrieved the bottle. Hikigaya quickly looked away, his heart pounding. Here Hoshino Eye offered the bottle to him once more. Thanks. Hesitating for a moment, Hikigaya finally accepted it, though he didn't drink right away. What brings you here, Hoshino-san? Of course, I came to see you, Hikigaya-kun. Right after my performance, I rushed straight over. Whoa. That's way too straightforward. Also, how do you even know I'm in this park? Hikigaya-kun, do you remember what I told you yesterday? What did you say? She smells nice. But why is she leaning so close? The idol's lips curved into a smile as she whispered, just say yes, okay? Let's make a baby together, huh? Wait. I'm a married man. You may have purple hair, but why do you sound like some random blonde thought? I already told you, I'm just kidding, Hoshino, I giggled. Go on, drink your water. Sighing, Hikigaya twisted open the bottle cap. As he lifted the bottle to drink, the girl's starry eyes sparkled, shining with an unmistakable excitement. However, just as the water was about to reach Hikigaya's lips, a sudden voice cut through the air, Hikigaya. Who the hell is she? Like an enraged tigress, Mira stormed over toward the bench, eyes blazing with fury. Hikigaya. Hoshino I? For a brief moment, her brows furrowed in displeasure at being interrupted, but she quickly smoothed her expression. Flashing a polite smile, she tilted her head playfully and asked, Hikigaya-kun, is this your girlfriend, Yuki no Shida? Chapter 202, Yuki no Shida, I'm about to explode. With Mira's sudden appearance, the atmosphere instantly became tense. Fortunately, Hikigaya quickly explained the situation, which managed to calm Mira down. As for Hoshino, she simply gave Mira a thoughtful glance, sizing her up. Oh, so you're not Yuki no Shida? I thought you were his girlfriend. Hoshino chuckled, then casually snatched the water bottle from Hikigaya's hand before continuing, well, let's leave it at that for today. I was just passing by, so I won't keep you from your workout. I'll be heading back now. Oh. Okay. Hikigaya nodded, relieved as he watched the girl walk away. Once Hoshino was gone, Mira raised an eyebrow and looked at Hikigaya in surprise. You actually know an idol? Ahem, we met by chance. By chance? Mira muttered under her breath, then let out a huff. I don't know how you two met, but that girl seemed pretty interested in you. Humphrey. I just don't get it. One after another, girls keep flocking to you, first you, then Kawasaki, and now her. Hikigaya let out an awkward laugh. Yep, this is why I enjoy talking with Mira. Why are you staring at me like that? Mira shot him a sharp glare. Get back to training. Yes, ma'am. Under the night sky, the two continued their workout. Meanwhile, hidden behind a tree nearby, Hoshino watched them intently, the usual smile absent from her face. She gripped the water bottle tightly. Sigh. I failed. Guess I'll have to wait for another chance. The next day, Friday. Hikigaya arrived at Sobuhai as usual. The moment he stepped into Class 3B, he was surprised to see Kasumijoka and Kawasaki chatting near his seat. No way. Kawasaki frowned and firmly rejected Kasumijoka's suggestion. He needs to rest. Rest? Hey, Kawasaki, do you even understand men? At this age, their energy is at its peak. If you ask me, we should both. Kasumijoka gave her a teasing smile. Kawasaki's face turned bright red. You pervert. That's not happening. I'm warning you, no matter what, it's not happening today. If you try anything, oh my, look who's here, Erkan. Just as Kawasaki was fuming, Kasumijoka's eyes playfully shifted toward Hikigaya as he walked over. Morning, Hikigaya braced himself and greeted them. Good morning, Kasumijoka smiled. Gee, good morning. Kawasaki, still flustered, greeted him while discreetly biting her lip. Then, in a hushed voice, she warned him, you better stay away from Kasumijoka today. Come on, Kawasaki, don't underestimate Erkan. No means no. Kawasaki shot Kasumijoka a sharp glare. If you're so eager, then just take all of his time. What about Yuki no Shida this weekend? Go mind your own business. You. Kasumijoka's eye twitched. Do you understand? Kawasaki asked again, making sure Hikigaya got the message. Wow. So this is what they were discussing? Sigh. Hikigaya let out a long sigh and nodded. With that, they each returned to their seats. But even with Kawasaki's warning, Kasumijoka spent the entire day dropping subtle hints, some not so subtle ones, too. Kawasaki, of course, wouldn't stand for this. Every time Kasumijoka was about to make a move, Kawasaki would step in at the perfect moment to stop her. Kasumijoka was seething, but there was nothing she could do. The school day flew by. As the classroom emptied after dismissal, the two girls continued bickering. Kawasaki, you're seriously out of your mind. I can't even get one little kiss. Kasumijoka was fuming. No. Kawasaki's response was cold and firm. What if he gets carried away? I'm not letting you lay a finger on him today. I'm heading out. Hikigaya sighed, deciding to leave them to their argument. Erkan, wait, school's over. What more do you want? Kawasaki grabbed Kasumijoka, keeping her from chasing after him. Kawasaki. Tomorrow's the weekend. If you won't let me have today, what about the weekend? You have hands and feet. Solve your own problems. You. The two kept quarreling. Hikigaya, meanwhile, quietly left the classroom and headed toward the service club. Kawasaki, huh? Not bad. With her around, the day felt much more peaceful. Kazumijoko hardly got the chance to harass me. However, while Hikigaya was feeling relieved, someone in the service club was barely holding it together. Sitting in her usual seat, Yuki Noshita struggled to maintain her composed exterior. Her back was straight, her hands rested elegantly on the desk, and her expression remained poised. But deep down, she was suffocating. The entire day had gone by, and she hadn't turned a single point. If this continued, today's earnings would be a complete loss. Sure, missing one day's worth of points wouldn't be the end of the world. But Yuki Noshita just didn't feel right. This was seriously messing with her OCD. She let out a quiet sigh. Saki is way too protective of Hikigaya-kun. Huh? Yukinon, what did you just say? Yuagahama's sharp ears caught her muttering. Nothing. I was just wondering why Hikigaya-kun is taking so long to get here. Will my dear husband let you cling to him when he arrives? No. Yu's points are too low. Not satisfying at all, completely useless. Just as Yuki Noshita was stewing in frustration, a notification popped up in her mind. Huh? Iroha? That girl is hugging Hikigaya-kun again? Fine. She's better than you. Without hesitation, Yuki Noshita activated the forced intimate card on Iroha. Ding. Ishiki Iroha is highly resistant, but ultimately forced to give Hikigaya-kun a deep kiss. Good. Finally, I get to use this card. Resistant? That's meaningless against the forced intimate card. Points. More points for me. Ding. Ishiki Iroha, finding herself unable to stop, continues to kiss him willingly. Huh? Oh? Well, Iroha. Just a moment ago, you were resisting, and now you're getting carried away? Iroha does seem to like Hikigaya-kun quite a bit. They're meeting up tomorrow to take care of something. Maybe I should. As she muttered to herself, a devious thought began forming in Yuki Noshita's mind. Chapter 203, Become a Toy. Offer your most precious gift to my dear husband. Saturday morning. Chiba Station. Dressed casually, Hikigaya leisurely arrived at the station entrance. Scanning the crowd, he quickly spotted a familiar figure with light brown hair. The moment Ishiki saw him, her eyes lit up, and she eagerly walked over. Senpai, you finally came. I thought you were going to ditch me. Pouting in mock complaint, she naturally wrapped her arms around his and pressed closer. Oh. Feeling the sudden warmth, Hikigaya's expression stiffened. Instinctively, he turned his head away, avoiding the little devil by his side. Today, Ishiki was wearing a pink top paired with a red skirt, and for once, she had on black stockings. And he had to admit black stockings suited her surprisingly well. Senpai, do I look good today? She asked proudly, still clinging to him as they walked into the station. You look fine, I guess. Just fine? I even put on black stockings just for you. Do you like them, senpai? She playfully pinched the fabric between her fingers, making a show of it. For me? Yeah, right. More like she just wanted to show off in front of others. Sure, I like them. He replied half-heartedly before quickly changing the topic. Come on, let's hurry up and buy the tickets. We don't want to be late. The two were heading to Tokyo today, which meant catching a train. Yeah, Ishiki grinned slyly, tightening her grip on his arm as they moved forward. This girl. Feeling the unmistakable softness against him, Hikigaya let out a deep sigh. 20 minutes later, after buying tickets and going through the gates, they boarded the train. Seated across from each other, Ishiki rested her chin on her hands, gazing at Hikigaya with an amused smile. This is my first time going on a trip with you, senpai. It almost feels like a date, doesn't it? Her round, mischievous eyes practically sparkled with excitement. What do you think, senpai? Not at all. I'm just going there to handle some business. Hikigaya replied calmly. What? But senpai, you play such an important role in all of this. My future, my life, it's all in your hands, senpai. She gazed at him with big, pleading eyes, the very picture of helplessness. Ugh, I'll do my best. But if I fail, that's not on me. Hikigaya quickly averted his gaze. He had to admit, this little devil's pathetic puppy look was still something he wasn't immune to. But senpai is invincible, right? With you there, I know you'll have the student council president of advanced nurturing high wrapped around your finger. I believe in you, senpai, Ishiki said with a serious expression. I'm just a normal student. Don't overestimate me. Hikigaya sighed. But if you do succeed, We can spend the afternoon in Tokyo together, just the two of us. A cute kuhai taking you on a date, isn't that an amazing deal? Hikigaya, mimicking Ishiki's usual antics, flicked an imaginary hairpin at her. Oh, I see what's going on. You're trying to make a move on me, aren't you? Sorry, Ishiki-san, but I already have a girlfriend. Even if you like me, I'm afraid I just can't accept your feelings. So, I'm sorry. You're a great girl. But, senpai, to his surprise, today's Ishiki didn't react like usual. Instead of pouting or getting flustered, she simply smiled sweetly and tilted her head. Who says a girl can't pursue a guy just because he already has a girlfriend? Hikigaya's eyes widened. The ouch on top of his head practically shot upright. This Ishiki. Why does it feel like she leveled up overnight? Senpai, if everything goes well today, I'll have a little surprise for you this afternoon, and if it's senpai, well, I wouldn't mind, you know. As she spoke, she subtly brushed her fingers against his hand. Her flushed cheeks and shy tone made her look genuinely bashful. Hey. Face turning red, Hikigaya quickly yanked his hand away. Stop joking around. Once we're done, we're heading straight back to Chiba. I'm not joking, senpai. I'm being serious. Ignoring his protests, Ishiki grabbed his hand again, and this time, even intertwined their fingers. Senpai, remember yesterday after school when we accidentally kissed? That was an accident. Hikigaya stammered, his face heating up. Why the hell was it so hard to break free from the girl's grip? An accident? Maybe, but senpai, weren't you pretty into it? You even used tongue, didn't you? Ishiki's cheeks flushed even deeper, her tone growing more delicate. Hikigaya's face turned beet red. I did not. That was you. It doesn't matter if it was me or you, senpai. Ishiki lowered her gaze, twiddling her fingers shyly. The thing is, I actually have feelings for you, senpai. And if it's you, I wouldn't mind giving you my most precious first time. Hikigaya's whole body tensed. He stared at her, utterly dumbfounded. Are you insane? So, senpai. Do you feel more motivated now? Of course, that's only if you manage to deal with Horikita Suzune first. Her blush vanished in an instant, replaced by her signature sly smile. Hikigaya clenched his fist. This girl needs to seriously consider a career in acting. I'm serious, senpai, don't doubt me. Let go of my hand. Holding hands with your adorable kuhai, are you flustered, dear senpai? You. At the same time, a short distance away, sitting in a different row, a black-haired girl in jeans and a face mask chuckled quietly to herself. Not bad, not bad. The effects of yesterday's forced intimate card, combined with the dream simulation card, are working wonders. Ishiki's really taking the initiative today. Hikigaya might think Ishiki was acting, and Ishiki herself might even believe she was just playing along, but Yukinoshita knew better. After all, she had seen last night's dream simulation. And in that simulation, Ishiki had gone all the way 5 times, to be exact. But still, this alone isn't enough. The probability of them actually getting together is still too low. Since that's the case, as the devoted wife, she had to step up and help things along. She twirled the small bottle of pink liquid in her hands, her sharp eyes curving into crescent moons. How could she possibly let such a golden opportunity for them to be alone go to waste? By the end of today, Ishiki, my dear, you'll be my beloved husband's personal toy. And you'll offer him your most precious first time. Chapter 204, Tsukinagi, darling? Hikigaya-kun? The last time Hikigaya came to Tokyo, he was with Yukinoshita. It was like a honeymoon trip just for the two of them. Throughout the trip, a lot had happened. They had come so close. But in the end, he chickened out just a little, and as a result, their most precious first time didn't end up happening in Tokyo. The main culprit? A certain annoying little white-haired menace who kept messing with his head. That damn gremlin ruined every single opportunity he had. Because of that, his sacred ritual with Yukinoshita remained unfinished in Tokyo. But that same frustration led to Yukinoshita being so angry that just a few days after they got back to Chiba, she dragged him back to her hotel. And then, well, she personally saw to it that justice was served. Hikigaya had to admit, when a girlfriend goes on the offensive, it's downright terrifying. Senpai, this way. The Japanese restaurant is over here. Clinging on to Hikigaya's arm like a proper girlfriend, Ishiki led him down the bustling Tokyo street. Hikigaya sighed. It wasn't like he had a choice in the matter. The restaurant wasn't far from the station. About 10 minutes later, the two of them arrived at their destination. It was a high-end Japanese restaurant. The kind of place Hikigaya would never step foot in unless a wealthy girlfriend was treating him. Stepping inside cautiously, Hikigaya hesitated before saying, I need to hit the restroom. Huh? The bathroom? Ishiki tightened her grip on his arm, looking nervous. Senpai, you're not gonna ditch me, are you? You can't leave me here alone. Senpai. Senpai. I literally just need to use the bathroom. Hikigaya looked at her, deadpan. I've been holding it since we bought tickets, got on the train, and came all the way here. Can I please go now? Ugh. Senpai, couldn't you have just held it in a little longer? Ishiki sighed. We're about to meet them. Hikigaya squinted at her. And you don't have to go? Ishiki flinched. You definitely drank a lot of water on the way here. Eh? Ishiki's face turned red as she glared at him. A beautiful girl never has to use the bathroom, okay? Hikigaya fell silent, his gaze drifting down toward her black stocking-clad legs. Ishiki instinctively squeezed her thighs together, looking very uncomfortable. Senpai. What are you staring at? So. Are we going together, then? Go by yourself. Ishiki finally let go of his arm, pouting. They're already here. I need to go greet them. Girls shouldn't hold it in too long. It's bad for your health. Hikigaya warned. Why do you even care? Her face now fully red, Ishiki huffed, then quickly rattled off the private dining room number before marching off. Hikigaya nodded and headed for the restroom. Meanwhile, Ishiki took a deep breath, patted her cheeks, and walked toward the reserved room. After finishing his business, Hikigaya strolled down the hall, muttering to himself. Sigh. A training camp with advanced nurturing high? Who even thinks of this kind of nonsense? Just the idea of working with that school was enough to make his scalp tingle. Maybe I should just back out. It'd be cruel to Ishiki, but... Cough, I could find another way to help her keep her student council president seat. Muttering under his breath, he arrived at the designated room. He definitely wasn't going to take this too seriously. He'd put on a show, pretend he tried his best, and that'd be the end of it. Taking a deep breath, he reached for the door. That's when he heard voices from inside. Ishiki-san, if that's all you've got, you should give up. There's no way our school is agreeing to a joint training camp with Sobya High. Horikita-san, please. Just one more chance. I've already given you a chance. Hikigaya furrowed his brows. That sounded desperate. And kinda pitiful. He let out a quiet sigh. Even if Ishiki was an annoying little devil, she was still his underclassman. And seeing her get completely crushed like this. Well. As her senpai, he couldn't just stand by and do nothing. At the very least, he could make sure she didn't get humiliated too badly. Twisting the doorknob, he pushed the door open and awkwardly said, Sorry. I'm late. I had to use the restroom. Senpai. As if she had just been saved from drowning, Ishiki bolted out of her seat and latched onto his arm like a lifeline. Come on. Huh? Hikigaya blinked. Then he turned toward the two girls sitting opposite them, both from Advanced Nurturing High. And the moment he saw them, his pupils shrank. His body froze. Cold sweat ran down his back. He wanted nothing more than to grab Ishiki and sprint out of the room. TCH. Late, huh? Sitting with her arms crossed, Horikita Suzune shot him a cold glance. With this kind of attitude, you think we'd even consider this joint camp? There's nothing more to discuss. We're leaving. She turned to the girl beside her, a petite white-haired girl who had been silent up until now. That was when the white-haired girl smiled. A bright, innocent, terrifying smile. Oh no, I think we definitely have more to talk about. Her gaze locked onto Hikigaya. Like a hunter cornering its prey. Hikigaya's entire body seized up. What? Horikita frowned. Tsukinagi, what are you talking about? There are some very interesting creatures in Sobya High. Tsukinagi smiled. She pursed her lips slightly, as if mouthing something. Something that looked an awful lot like darling Hikigaya. A kind of violent shudder ran through Hikigaya's body. His face paled instantly. Help. Why is this terrifying white-haired gremlin here? Horikita, noticing his reaction, narrowed her eyes and turned to look at him. Her brow furrowed. Wait. Him? She gave Hikigaya a once-over. This guy? This dead fish-eyed loser? Tsukinagi, are you out of your mind? Meanwhile, on the other side of the restaurant, sitting by a window, Yukino Shita quietly nibbled on her food while keeping a close eye on the situation. Hikigaya Hukuman's affection level for Tsukinagi Risu, -10 out of 100, fear, annoying clingy gremlin. Hikigaya Hukuman's affection level for Horikita Suzune, 30 out of 100, terrible personality, but looks like my wife. Oh? Yukino Shita raised an eyebrow. So we have another new candidate for cuddling? Chapter 205, in the future, turn Tsukinagi and Horikita into my husband's women. Humphrey. Inside the private room, Horikita let out a cold snort, tearing apart Hukuman's reasoning without mercy. Just for academic performance? Why choose your Sobuhai for a joint training camp? Ayaroa hesitated, looking at Hikuman with an embarrassed expression, as if she wanted to say, "Senpai, how could you say something so stupid?" Hikuman remained silent. Yes. By all means, don't hold a joint camp with our school. Hurry up and refute me fiercely. Seeing Horikata's extreme reaction, Hikuman felt quite satisfied. He had done it on purpose. However, when Hikuman's gaze inadvertently drifted toward the silver-haired girl, he was shocked to find the great demon king smiling knowingly at him. His heart skipped a beat. Cold sweat broke out on his back. "President, I think what Hikuman-san said makes sense. Sobuhai's academic performance is among the top in the nation. We can consider a joint camp with them." Tsukinagi smiled as she looked at Hikuman. Hikuman's scalp tingled. "Oi, Tsukinagi, you're not supposed to be saying this." "Huh? Tsukinagi, you..." Horikata frowned deeply, glancing at the ever-smiling Tsukinagi and then at Hikuman, who had lowered his head, confusion filling her heart. Yes. Tsukinagi-sen is right." Sensing the shift, Ayaroa quickly chimed in. "President, please consider it. What do you think?" Tsukinagi continued smiling at Horikata. Tsukinagi. Naturally, Horikata was displeased. Thus, what was supposed to be a debate between Ayaroa, Hikuman, Tsukinagi, and Horikata had turned into a heated argument between Tsukinagi and Horikata instead. Ayaroa, who had planned to interject, could only stare in disbelief. Good grief. Was this really Advanced Nurturing High's vice president? Why did she suddenly seem more like Sobuhai's vice president instead? Why was she siding with them so much? Could it be that she was won over by her own awesomeness? Cough. Definitely not. Just now, this silver-haired girl hadn't even glanced at her once. Instead, she had been staring. Ayaroa instinctively turned her gaze and saw that from start to finish, Tsukinagi's eyes had been locked onto the boy sitting beside her, not shifting even slightly. As for her dear senpai, why did he seem utterly unwilling to make eye contact with Tsukinagi? A thought flickered through Ayaroa's mind, and she scooted a little closer to Hikuman. Leaning in, lowering her voice, Ayaroa whispered, "Senpai, don't tell me. You and Tsukinagi, the vice president of Advanced Nurturing High, have something going on?" "No." Hikuman immediately denied it, shooting Ayaroa a glare. "No?" Ayaroa chuckled mischievously. "Then why is the vice president staring at you so much?" "Hey senpai, you should have told me earlier. I was so worried I already said whatever." Hikuman sighed, too tired to keep arguing with her. Meanwhile, the two girls continued their heated debate. Horikata's face had turned completely red, seemingly about to be steamrolled by Tsukinagi. Tsukinagi, on the other hand, remained calm and composed, leisurely gazing at Hikuman. There's no way they don't have something going on. Ayaroa was now convinced. This silver-haired girl was probably already shaped like her senpai. Ayaroa felt strangely excited. But the vice president was handled. The president, though, was way too stubborn. If it were her, she would have agreed ages ago. Guess it's time for some dirty tricks. Her eyes twinkled mischievously, and she suddenly spoke up, "Speaking of which, we've finished our drinks. I'll go grab some more for everyone." With that, Ayaroa got up and walked toward the door. As she left, Tsukinagi's smile brightened, her gaze becoming even more unrestrained as she stared at Hikuman. As for Horikata, compared to Tsukinagi's gentle kindness, her expression was ice cold and completely incomprehensible as she locked eyes with Hikuman. Being stared at by two beautiful girls, Hikuman's scalp tingled, and he had the overwhelming urge to escape. Senpai is truly something in high spirits. Ayaroa hummed a tune as she reached the restaurant's service counter and ordered a few drinks. Placing them on a tray, Ayaroa's eyes glinted, and the corners of her lips curled up into a devilish grin. To ensure this joint camp happened, she had gone to great lengths to procure some special medicine. Just a small dose in the drinks, and the targets would become as dazed as if they were drunk. Then, in their inebriated state, they'd agree to the camp. For the sake of success, she was willing to use any means necessary. "Miss, someone is looking for you." Just as Ayaroa was reveling in her wicked plan, a waitress approached her. "Huh? Looking for me?" Ayaroa blinked in confusion. "Yes, the young lady sitting by the window." "Okay, I'll go take a look." Following the waitress's direction, Ayaroa nodded, temporarily placing the drinks on a table. A few minutes later, Ayaroa returned, looking disgruntled as she picked up the drinks again. "Ugh, even in a place like this, someone has to play pranks? What a waste of my time." Grumbling, she carried the drinks toward the private room. However, just before stepping inside, Ayaroa suddenly pulled a small packet of powder from her pocket and sprinkled a little into a few of the drinks. With that done, she smirked deviously. "Let's see if you refuse now." Hee hee hee. Pushing the door open, her face brightened into a radiant smile as she cheerfully announced, "I'm back, everyone, huh?" Seeing Hakuman now seated between Sakinagi and Horikita, Ayaroa was utterly stunned. Wow, things got lively in here? What just happened? Why was Senpai suddenly sitting between two beautiful girls? And why did she feel a little jealous? Damn it. That's my senpai. At the same time, by the window, Yuki no Shita took a delicate sip of her tea, a faint smile playing at her lips. The forced intimate card had already been administered. Now, all she had to do was enjoy the show. She had no choice, she was getting impatient. As Hakuman's girlfriend, Yuki no Shita knew that once the meeting ended, her boyfriend would immediately leave Tokyo for Chiba. If he left this restaurant, his chances of being alone with Ayaroa would drastically decrease. Since that was the case, why not just go all in? This is going to be so much fun. Hakuman-kun with Ayaroa. Doing this in a public setting. So thrilling. As for Horikita Suzune and Sakinagi Rasu, once Hakuman-kun finishes with Ayaroa, he can take care of you two next. Everything should be done step by step. After all, Ayaroa had already been conquered by her dear husband. Finishing her off wouldn't be a problem. The other girls, however, still needed some time to develop. One step at a time. Chapter 206, Broken. Did I offer my dear husband the wrong woman again? Senpai, how's the situation? Leaning in closer, Ayaroa whispered to Hikigaya. At this moment, Hikigaya had moved back to his seat beside her instead of being sandwiched between Horikita and Sakinagi. Just the usual. As he spoke, Hikigaya instinctively tried to put some distance between himself and Ayaroa, who kept pressing closer. You're too close. TCH. Just now, you were sitting between those two, looking like you were enjoying it. But when it comes to me, you're resisting. What's with that? I didn't have a choice earlier. I never wanted to sit with them in the first place. Hikigaya said awkwardly. Well, whatever. I can't be bothered to ask anymore. Ayaroa said with a playful chuckle. Hee, just watch me now. Once this discussion is over, let's go on a date, okay? I'll properly reward you, senpai. She handed him a drink, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. As soon as this is over, I'm heading back to Chiba. Hikigaya said flatly as he took the drink. Eh? No way. Ayaroa pouted and whined. I want to go on a date with senpai. It's rare for us to be in Tokyo together. How could I just leave like that? Senpai, I just focus on what you need to do first. Hikigaya sighed, already feeling a headache coming on. Hee, don't worry. It'll definitely work out. Her eyes curved into little crescent moons as she turned her gaze toward the two girls sitting across from them. At that moment both Sakinagi and Horikita seemed a little dazed. But Sakinagi still maintained her usual calm and composed demeanor. As for Horikita, she was already blushing furiously. Hey, Horikita Kayaku, just give up and agree to the joint training camp already. With a bright smile, Ayaroa looked at the two girls and asked, Horikita Kayaku, have you two finished discussing about the joint training camp? And no way. Even though her face was flushed, and her mind seemed a bit foggy, Horikita still shook her head firmly. Our school would never agree to a joint. Joint. Her words trailed off. Suddenly, Horikita stood up. Then, as if drawn by an unseen force, she walked straight toward Hikigaya. Their eyes met. Ayaroa? Sakinagi? Hikigaya? Her strange behavior left everyone in the room utterly confused. Even Horikita herself seemed unsure of why she was acting this way. Blushing, she huffed, regardless, it's absolutely impossible. Impossible. Hikigaya was at a loss. Why was she telling him this? Shouldn't she be directing this at Ayaroa, the student council president? After saying her piece, Horikita turned and walked toward the door. Kayaku. Sakinagi called hesitantly. Are you leaving? Bathroom. Horikita muttered, then opened the door and left. Seeing this, Ayaroa let out a small sigh of relief. But beneath the surface, her expression darkened. TCH, this girl's willpower is ridiculous. Don't worry, I'll try to persuade her later. Sakinagi said with a smile. Then I'll leave it to you, Sakinagi-san. Ayaroa replied with a bright, but clearly forced, smile. A fake smile is still a fake smile. In truth, Ayaroa was on the verge of losing her mind. What if the drug didn't work? How was she supposed to explain this to the school administrators? To the students? She had already been spreading the news that their two schools would hold a joint training camp. If this fell through, she'd rather just smash her head into a wall and be done with it. Frustrated, she reached for her drink to take a sip. Wait. Why was her drink already half empty? TCH. Whatever. Aside from Hikigaya's drink, she had spiked the other three. Even if she grabbed the wrong one, it didn't matter. I need to use the restroom too. Hikigaya suddenly said, standing up. Huh? Senpai? I'll be back soon. Alright. Iroha nodded reluctantly. Now, only Iroha and Sakinagi remained in the room. The two girls exchanged glances. Sakinagi's eyes flickered with curiosity before she smiled warmly. Iroha-san, may I ask you something about Hikigaya-san? About senpai? Iroha instantly became wary. Sakinagi chuckled. It's just some trivial things. But if you tell me, I guarantee our president will agree to the joint training camp. Eh? Oh really? Iroha's eyes lit up. Sakinagi-san, just ask away. I promise I'll tell you everything I know. Then, I appreciate your help. You're too polite, Iroha grinned. At this point, she didn't care about anything else. As long as the joint training camp happened, she was willing to do whatever it took. If Sakinagi asked her to tie up Hikigaya and deliver him to her room, she'd probably do it in a heartbeat, making sure her dear senpai was all clean and ready, of course. Meanwhile, something's not right. Hiding in the shadows, Yuki no Shita frowned as she watched Horikita enter the restroom. Logically speaking, shouldn't Iroha have been the one affected? This must be a coincidence. Yeah, just a coincidence. Yuki no Shita tried to convince herself. But the next moment another figure suddenly rushed toward the restroom. That's Hikigaya. Yuki no Shita's eyes widened in shock, barely stopping herself from shouting her beloved husband's name. Coincidence, coincidence. She tried to calm herself down. However, the thing you fear the most always finds a way to happen. Hikigaya stopped at the restroom entrance, hesitated for a few seconds. And then he stepped into the women's restroom. Oh no. Yuki no Shita smacked her thigh in frustration. Did Iroha accidentally let Horikita drink the spiked drink instead? This was bad. Really bad. Those two had zero romantic history. If that happened, would it be considered F-force? Cough cough. Would her dear husband be thrown in jail? Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman and Horikita Suzune are currently kissing. They are about to enter deep bonding mode. Please arrive at the scene immediately, or 1,000 points will be deducted. What? Ding. Please arrive at the scene immediately. Yuki no Shita's mouth twitched. She sighed deeply, then forced herself to move. Cautiously, she slipped into the women's restroom. Glancing at one of the stalls, she let out another long sigh. Then, she carefully opened a stall beside it and stepped inside. No way. This is all wrong. It was supposed to be my Iroha. Yuki no Shita buried her face in her hands, utterly exasperated. Instinctively, her eyes drifted toward the gap at the bottom of the stalls. Ding. Please watch the scene carefully, this. Ugh. Letting out a bitter sigh, Yuki no Shita hesitated for a moment, then, reluctantly, she crouched down and peeked through the gap. Chapter 207, The Frenzied Love Between Horikita and Hikigaya. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman instinctively wrapped his arms around Horikita Suzune's slender waist. Ding. Horikita Suzune took the initiative to kiss Hikigaya Hukuman on the lips. Ding. Horikita Suzune took the initiative too. Hearing the system notifications ringing in her ears, Yuki no Shita felt utterly restless. Earning points was supposed to be a joyous occasion. But right now. Ugh. Her beloved was about to become another woman's man again. My Hikigaya-kun, my Hikigaya-kun, my Hikigaya-kun. And to make matters worse, the one performing the sacred ritual with her beloved wasn't even Iroha, it was a completely unfamiliar woman. Not only that. She actually had to watch this sacred ritual unfold. Her thighs tensed so much that her denim shorts were nearly stretched to their limit. Clutching her chest in anguish, Yuki no Shita crouched down, lowered her head, and peered through the gap beneath the stall door into the adjacent one. At that moment, Hikigaya and Horikita were lost in a deep kiss. Watching this scene unfold right before her eyes, Yuki no Shita's heart trembled. She wasn't sure why, but a wave of frustration and pain washed over her. Even when Saki or Senpai, or any of the other women had kissed her beloved before, she had never felt this much agony and distress. Maybe it was because she didn't know Horikita. Maybe it was because she wasn't mentally prepared for this at all. Whatever the case, seeing these two so intimately close was something she absolutely could not accept. After a while, Hikigaya finally pulled away and whispered gently, Yuki no Shita, why? Why are you here? Yuki. Yuki no Shita? Hearing this, the dazed Horikita blinked, looking at Hikigaya in confusion. Wait, did my beloved just mistake this girl for me? Huh? Looking closer, this girl named Horikita Suzune. She does look a little bit like me. Yuki no Shita bit her lip bitterly, sighing inwardly. Nuu. Hikigaya-kun, that's not me. She just happens to resemble me a little bit, that's all. Don't mistake someone else for your wife. Of course, Hikigaya couldn't hear the silent screams in Yuki no Shita's heart. Instead, he held the girl in his arms even tighter, gazing at her with deep affection, completely ignoring everything else. Yuki no Shita. I love you. Saying that, he couldn't help but take in the scent of the girl's neck. Horikita trembled slightly, initially intending to push him away. But instead of resisting, her hands ended up pulling Hikigaya even closer, burying her face in his chest and taking in his scent. I like it. Nuu. Hikigaya-kun, she's not me. You're not supposed to be sniffing her. Hikigaya-kun, the woman you're holding isn't me, she just looks a bit like me. As she rested in his embrace, Horikita took a few deep breaths, her heartbeat quickening. A bold thought slowly emerged in her mind. She gradually lifted her head and gazed at Hikigaya with tender eyes. There's something I want to ask. It's a bold request, but will you promise me? Huh? A bold request. Hikigaya, still in a daze, licked his lips nervously. Go ahead. If it's something you ask for, I'll definitely agree, no matter what it is. Nuu. Hikigaya-kun, how can you spoil me like this? You're listening to me too much. Really? No matter what I ask for. Horikita, blushing shyly, no longer carried her usual cold demeanor. Instead, she stammered like a bashful maiden. You said it yourself. Of course. You are the woman I love most in this world. I will only listen to you, be your man, and do everything for you. Yuki no Shita, I love you. Nuu. Hikigaya-kun, I love you too. I love you the most. In that case. Lowering her head shyly, Horikita hesitantly asked, I want to do that with you. Right now. Is that okay? That idiot. Horikita huffed. Why, you know what I mean. Wait, no, this isn't. Hikigaya, though hazy-minded, shook his head after a few seconds of hesitation. We can't. This is a public restroom. We can't. We shouldn't. Besides, don't we still have something important to take care of? That's my Hikigaya-kun. Such strong willpower. Love you, love you, love you. Huh? We can't? Horikita clung to Hikigaya tightly, asking anxiously, really? Really can't? Really? Can't? But you said you'd agree to anything I asked for. Promise me, okay? Nuu. Don't promise her, Hikigaya-kun. This. Okay? Please. Biting her lip, Horikita gazed at Hikigaya with a pleading expression. To Hikigaya, this was completely identical to seeing Yuki no Shita's heartbroken face. How could he just ignore it? Yuki no Shita. Hikigaya suddenly hugged Horikita tightly and whispered, I'll do anything for you. Whatever you want. I'll agree to it all. Why, you promise? Yeah. Nuu. Hikigaya-kun, that woman isn't me. She's not me. Don't give your love for me to someone else, please. Hikigaya and Horikita kissed once more. A devastated Yuki no Shita couldn't bear to watch any longer. Ding. Host must continue watching, or a severe penalty will be applied. System, you have no heart. Are you safe today? I'm worried. Hikigaya hesitated. Who cares about that? I don't want to think about anything else right now. Huh? But don't think about it. I just want you right now. Okay? Oh, okay. Nuu. To prevent Horikita from accidentally getting pregnant, I have to waste one of my protection cards on her. Ding. Horikita Sazun is ready. Ding. Hikigaya Pokemon. Ding. Mission 2. Find a third conquest target to serve Hikigaya Pokemon. Must be done in front of the host. Has been completed. Nuu. Hikigaya-kun, stop calling my name. Stop calling my name while you're with another woman. Chapter 208, Horikita, woo-wah-woo, you beast. You absolute beast. Just as Hiratsuka-sensei said, Hikigaya-kun is quite an interesting person, huh? Sakanagi-san, you know Hiratsuka-sensei? Hiratsuka-sensei is actually my homeroom teacher right now, is that so? I never expected Hiratsuka-sensei to end up at Advanced Nurturing High. Ishiki was surprised. She mentioned Hikigaya-kun to me briefly before, and now hearing Ishiki-san talk about him today. I'm finding Hikigaya-kun more and more interesting. Sakanagi smiled. Right? Senpai is a truly fascinating creature. Inside the private room, Sakanagi and Ishiki chatted and laughed. Of course, their conversation largely revolved around Hikigaya. Ishiki enthusiastically recounted nearly all of Hikigaya's experiences from his second year, barely pausing for breath. Sakanagi listened intently, her eyes shining with intrigue. As time passed, Sakanagi suddenly sensed something was off. She glanced around and asked curiously, huh? They still haven't come back yet? Probably got an upset stomach. Ishiki was deep in storytelling mode, completely uninterested in anything else. She continued excitedly, then, after that, Senpai ran into the girl who confessed to him back in middle school. His middle school confession target? Hearing this, Tsukinagi's interest piqued even further. You mean Hikigaya-kun's first love? You could call it that. I remember Senpai was super awkward about it. That first love of his even came up to tease him. But then, Ishiki rattled on like a storyteller in full swing. After some of Senpai's legendary moves, his first love regretted everything and clung to his leg, crying, Onyai-chan, if you give me one more chance, I swear I'll say yes. I'm begging you. And Senpai, with a cold and aloof demeanor, simply said, you women. Ahem. I don't think it was that dramatic. Tsukinagi chuckled after thinking for a moment. Ahem, well, that's the general idea anyway, hee hee. Ishiki shamelessly covered up. First, Hikigaya was her senpai. As his underclassman, it was only right to hype him up in front of other girls. Second, the girl in front of her was clearly very interested in Hikigaya. There was no way she'd say anything that might make senpai look bad, right? So what happened next? Tsukinagi continued, did Hikigaya-kun accept her confession? No way. A good horse never eats the grass it's already past. Senpai would never accept her. He didn't even want to acknowledge her. That does sound like him. Tsukinagi smiled gently, nodding with approval. Hee, then Hikigaya-kun must still be single, right? Not exactly. Senpai already has a girlfriend. Her expression flickered momentarily, and a strange glint flashed through her eyes. Then, she smiled sweetly and asked, he already has a girlfriend? Is it Ishiki Keiku? Eh? Me? How could it be me? Ishiki quickly waved her hands in denial, not me, not me. Senpai's girlfriend is someone else. Who? Tsukinagi maintained her gentle smile, but an inexplicable pressure filled the air, making Ishiki feel an ominous chill. After a few seconds of hesitation, that cold pressure finally got to her, and Ishiki answered, it's our third-year senpai, Yukino Shita Yukino. Yukino Shita Yukino? Yuki.Nashita? That name. Tsukinagi murmured to herself several times, visibly surprised. Huh? Seeing her strange reaction, Ishiki asked curiously, Tsukinagi-san, do you know Yukino-senpai? Meanwhile, Hikigaya turned around, ready to leave the women's restroom. Yukino Shita, I'll head out first. Take your time to freshen up. If you run into any trouble, just let me know, I'll be waiting outside. However, what felt deeply unsettling to Hikigaya was the girl behind him didn't respond immediately. Instead, after a few moments of silence, she suddenly spoke in a cold, almost biting tone, Yukino Shita. Who was that? What are you talking about? Yukino Shita is obviously. Huh? Hikigaya abruptly stopped mid-sentence. Something was wrong. That voice, it didn't sound like Yukino Shita at all. Was he hallucinating? Slowly turning back, Hikigaya's gaze landed on the girl sitting on the toilet. Her face was icy cold, but a deep, indescribable embarrassment flickered beneath the surface. His pupils shrank sharply, as if struck by lightning, staring in disbelief at the girl before him. Oh, Horikata? It's me. Arms crossed, Horikata replied coldly. Hikigaya's heart nearly stopped. Looking around in confusion, he then turned his gaze back to the dark-haired girl sitting before him. You. Why are you here? Just now, wasn't it? Not Yukino Shita, is it? Horikata's cold voice sent a chill down his spine. This. He was sure it had been Yukino Shita, so how had she suddenly turned into Horikata? Ugh, his head hurt. Hikigaya instinctively rubbed his temples. Why did something like that happen between us? Horikata's face remained cold, but her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, filled with humiliation and anger. You beast, you absolute scoundrel, you perverted degenerate. Being scolded so fiercely, Hikigaya had no idea what to do. He could only murmur an apology, sorry. Do you think a simple apology is enough? My most precious thing has been ruined by you. Damn you. You beast. I'm completely ruined. A single tear slipped down Horikata's cheek. She trembled with rage, her emotions running out of control. Hikigaya's heart clenched as he instinctively glanced at the floor, his face rapidly changing color with a hint of remorseful embarrassment. I'm really sorry, this is my fault. I don't want your apology. Horikata shouted, emotions surging. Sigh. Then what do you want me to do? Punish me however you like. Watching the girl's tears fall, Hikigaya sighed internally, feeling deeply guilty. Punishment, huh? Horikata's eyes flashed with a chilling intensity. In a cold voice, she declared, "You beast. You ruined me. You deserve to die. I'm going to kill you." She suddenly stood up, her emotions boiling over as she prepared to attack Hikigaya. Hikigaya closed his eyes in resignation. However, just as Horikita stood up, her foot slipped for some mysterious reason. Thud. Horikita stumbled toward Hikigaya. In the next second their lips met. Again. Horikita. Hikigaya. Hiding in the next stall, Yukinoshita fumed with frustration. Woo woo woo. You call him a beast, yet look at you. Hypocrite. Ha. Women. Chapter 209, Horikita, you took it, now. Take responsibility. Girls' restroom. The atmosphere was particularly delicate. You. As their lips parted, Horikita, her face flushed red, stared at Hikigaya, her voice trembling uncontrollably, "You bastard." Sorry. His own face tinged with red, Hikigaya awkwardly held on to Horikita's slender figure. "You pervert. Let go of me already." Horikita shot him an angry glare. But, seeing how her legs were still trembling, Hikigaya hesitated before speaking again. "Your body. There's nothing wrong with my body. I don't need your concern. Now let me go." Horikita snapped, her face still burning. Hey. Can you show some respect to my dear husband? Just moments ago, you were confessing your love for my Hikigaya-kun, and now that it's over, you're turning your back on him? Watching another woman glare at Hikigaya, Yukinoshita was deeply dissatisfied as his girlfriend. Alright then. Hikigaya could only sigh as he slowly loosened his hold on Horikita, though he still reminded her with concern, "Be careful. I already said, I don't need your ah." Horikita barely finished her sentence before her expression twisted. Her foot twisted beneath her. She was about to fall. Fortunately, Hikigaya reacted quickly, catching her and pulling her into his arms once again. Are you okay? Why you let go of me? Why you bastard? Let go, you. Her small fists pounded against his chest as Horikita's emotions flared wildly. Hikigaya, however, remained unfazed, allowing her to vent her frustration against him. After several minutes, Horikita's punches slowed. She had already been drained of energy before, and after this outburst, she was completely exhausted. "Feeling better now?" Hikigaya asked softly. "And no." Horikita huffed, her face still flushed, though her mind had begun to clear. "Just now. Why did something like that happen between us? Maybe I didn't get enough rest last night, so my brain was a little sluggish. I somehow wandered into the girls' restroom without realizing it. Then suddenly, someone grabbed me and dragged me into one of the stalls, and then..." As he spoke, Hikigaya instinctively glanced at Horikita. Horikita's body stiffened. If he hadn't said anything, she might not have remembered, but now her mind replayed the scene from just moments ago. As she recalled, she was the one who had pulled Hikigaya into the stall. And without a word, she had kissed him. This. Why on earth did she do that? Was it because she had been holding herself back for too long? Because she had an unmet need? Or... Horikita instinctively looked at the dark-haired boy in front of her. Her heart pounded rapidly in her chest. He was just some dead fish-eye boy, so why did he suddenly seem so? Was this love at first sight? Horikita couldn't make sense of it. Stammering, she tried to explain, "I was too tired last night. I didn't get enough rest, so I must have been hallucinating." "A hallucination?" Hikigaya murmured. "Yes. Otherwise, how could I possibly? Am I the kind of woman who would be so casual?" Horikita gritted her teeth. Right. Humphrey." Horikita huffed and fell silent. Hikigaya was silent as well. For a moment, the atmosphere quieted completely. Phew, they didn't realize I was the one behind all this. Watching from the adjacent stall, Yukinoshita let out a small sigh of relief. "So, what now?" Horikita suddenly broke the silence. Hikigaya tensed and took a deep breath. What does Horikita-san want to do? A hint of shyness crossed Horikita's face. She bit her lip, her gaze flickering uncertainly toward him before she finally murmured, I'm a first-timer. You're my first man. Since it's already come to this, you have to take responsibility. I have a girlfriend." Hikigaya reminded her. Huh? Horikita, who had just been blushing moments ago, instantly turned pale. "You have a girlfriend?" "Yes." "Who?" "Well, it's Yukinoshita, isn't it?" Horikita narrowed her eyes. "The woman you kept calling out for just now?" "That's right." Hikigaya sighed. "So, I'm sorry. You. As expected of my dear husband. I knew you only loved me. I'm so happy, you. Horikita lowered her head in silence, her expression unreadable. Faced with the suffocating tension, cold sweat dripped down Hikagaya's back. Honestly, he was truly afraid Horikita would suddenly say something like, "You wouldn't want your girlfriend Yuki Noshita to find out about what happened between us, would you? If you don't want her to know, then just agree to my demands." Humphrey. Who even cares? At that moment, Horikita's cold voice rang out, "You think I actually like you? You're just some dead fish-eyed loser. That was just me testing you, got it? Right." Hikigaya nodded, but in the faint silence, he heard the softest sound of sniffling. That sound? He slowly looked up, only to see Horikita, her face full of stubborn pride, but with clear tears streaming down her cheeks. She looked utterly devastated. Horikita. Seeing this, Hikagaya's body stiffened, his emotions in turmoil. After a moment of hesitation, he reached out and embraced her once again. Let go. I'm sorry. I don't need your hug. I'm sorry. You. Ugh. Who gave you permission to wipe my tears? Ding. To ensure that Horikita Suzune and Hikigaya Hukuman have more possibilities in the future, the host must make them stick together again to deepen their bond, huh? Again? You. System, ding. If you don't make them stick together, points will be deducted. Fine, I'll make them stick together. Left with no choice, Yuki Noshita tearfully activated a forced closeness card on Horikita Suzune. Hikigaya, kiss me. Huh? Kiss you? Wait, I'll do it myself. And no, wait. Horikita-san, we can't shut up. One last time. What? This time, you sit on the toilet? She's serious. Chapter 210, So soft, Horikita, you're so much softer than my girlfriend, Yuki Noshita, huh? Why aren't they back yet? Inside the private room, Ayaroa tilted her head in confusion. She had been engrossed in an enthusiastic conversation with Tsukinagi, completely losing track of time. It was only now that she realized Hikigaya and Horikita had been gone for an awfully long time. Yes, it has been quite a while. Tsukinagi nodded thoughtfully, sitting gracefully on a wooden chair. Did something happen? I'll go check on them. Ayaroa was about to stand up when Tsukinagi stopped her. Try calling them first. They might have run into some unexpected trouble. Oh, right. I'll give Senpai a call. Nodding, Ayaroa took out her phone and dialed. Beep. Weird. Why isn't Senpai picking up? Ayaroa frowned, clearly puzzled. Tsukinagi, on the other hand, glanced at her own phone. She had also tried calling Horikita earlier, but the call had gone unanswered, which was rather strange. After 5 whole minutes of repeated dialing, the call finally connected. Hello. Senpai. Why did it take you so long to answer? Don't tell me you fell into the toilet? Before Hikigaya could even speak, Ayaroa's exasperated voice rang out. Sorry, I ran into a little trouble. Huh? Trouble? Ayaroa was stunned. Wait, don't tell me you really fell into the toilet? And no. Hikigaya coughed awkwardly. It's just that Horikita-san. She, accidentally slipped and got hurt. I had to take her to the in-store medical room. What? Horikita-san injured her leg. Ayaroa instinctively glanced at Tsukinagi, who remained as composed as ever. Is she okay? Is it serious? The doctor said it's not too bad, just a minor scrape that needs some ointment. Do you want me and Tsukinagi-san to come over? Ayaroa asked, sneaking another look at the still silent Tsukinagi. No need. Hikigaya quickly replied, Horikita-san's injury isn't serious. Once we're done treating it, we'll head right back. Her leg isn't broken? Well, that's a relief. And no. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now. Hikigaya sounded rushed, eager to end the call. Ayaroa, however, smirked teasingly. Hee, senpai, do your best, make sure you know what I mean, right? Huh? Don't let me down, senpai. Alright, then I'm hanging up. Ayaroa giggled as she ended the call. Meanwhile, Tsukinagi, an unreadable smile on her face, idly tapped her cane resting beside her. Ahem, Tsukinagi-san, you heard that, right? Horikita-san got injured, almost broke her leg, even. That's why senpai had to take her to the medical room. Once her wound is treated, they'll be back. Tsukinagi smiled and nodded. Thank you for the update, Ayaroa-san. No need to be so formal, Ayaroa grinned. Now, back to our previous topic, Tsukinagi-san, I've told you everything I know about senpai. So, about our deal. Thank you, Ayaroa-san. Tsukinagi's smile deepened. Regarding the training camp, I will definitely help you achieve your goal. Tsukinagi-san, you're the best. If only you were the student council president instead. Oh no, I'm nowhere near Horikita's level. Tsukinagi chuckled. The two girls, both naturally inclined toward playful smiles, continued their exchange. Actually, Iroha-san, I do have one small favor to ask. Oh? I feel like we really hit it off, Sakinagi-san. Go ahead, tell me. What do you need? Well, I need to buy a few things later, but since my mobility is limited. Would you mind asking Hikigaya-kun to carry them for me? He is a guy, after all. Sakinagi said with a gentle smile, lightly tapping her cane. So she really is interested in senpai. Iroha narrowed her eyes slightly. Oh well. At the end of the day, senpai wasn't her man. Why should she care? Senpai. For the sake of my future position as student council president, I'm afraid I'll have to sacrifice you a little. Such a shame. I was looking forward to going on a date with you. Looks like I'll have to make it up to you next time. Of course, no problem at all, Sakinagi-san. Iroha replied with a sweet smile. Once senpai gets back, I'll make sure he helps you properly. Meanwhile, in the women's restroom. Having completed her second mission, Yukinosha no longer needed to crouch down and peek through the gaps beneath the stalls. Instead, she sat on the toilet seat, wearing her observer glasses, her expression looking complicated. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level +1, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level +2, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level, the numbers continued to rise. Stop increasing already. Hikigaya-kun, please. Please don't actually fall into depravity. Yukinosha bit her lip bitterly, pressing her thighs together. There was no joy in watching the numbers go up, only the pain of seeing her beloved husband being stolen away by another woman. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman thinks Horikita Suzun's expression is just like his girlfriend's. Corruption level +1, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman thinks Horikita Suzun is even better than his girlfriend. Corruption level +3. What? Better than me? Yukinosha's expression changed. Her thighs tensed up, causing her tight denim shorts to strain slightly. The earlier numbers were one thing. But this last part? Absolutely unacceptable. Better than me? How dare he? Isn't Horikita just a substitute for me? How could she possibly be better? Wait a minute. Yukinosha suddenly realized something very, very important. She lifted her hands and waved the air slightly. Then, her lips pressed into a sad line. Indeed. In one particular aspect, Horikita was undeniably superior. Sob. He said he liked smaller ones. Didn't he say he preferred small ones? Then why? Why is this happening? I refuse to accept this. Just as she was screaming internally, Yukinosha suddenly tensed, her pupils contracting. The observer glasses had reached a critical moment. Oh no. Crap. I really need to go to the bathroom. Wait. I can't. If I go now, they'll hear me. Just a little longer. I just have to hold on a little longer. 5 minutes at most. Sigh. Yukinosha sighed bitterly. Not only did she have to endure holding it in, but she also had to watch her beloved husband's corruption level continue to rise. Hikigaya Hukuman's current corruption level, 40, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman, what? It's already at 40. And still increasing? No. Stop. Please, stop. I beg you. No more corruption. Is Horikita Suzun really that charming? Sob, my husband. With so much corruption level, how am I ever going to make up for it? I can't possibly handle this alone. Chapter 211, Sakinagi, Hikigaya-kun, was Horikita fun? Supporting Horikita, Hikigaya pushed open the door and entered. We're back. Senpai, you finally made it back. Ishiki quickly turned around with a welcoming smile, but the moment she saw how the two were practically tangled together, she immediately stood up and rushed over to help support Horikita. Concerned, she asked, President Horikita, are you okay? I'm fine. Horikita, looking a bit odd, shook her head at Ishiki. Hikigaya and Ishiki helped Horikita over to the seat beside Sakinagi. As Sakinagi glanced at Horikita's somewhat flushed face, she instinctively took a closer look, her gaze gradually shifting downward toward Horikita's thighs. She noticed that the girl's legs were trembling slightly, even glistening with an inexplicable sheen of sweat. Are you alright, President? Sakinagi carefully placed a hand on Horikita's thigh. Ugh. Horikita shuddered, her expression changing abruptly. She quickly shook her head at Sakinagi and stammered, I'm fine. I just slipped earlier. Thanks to Hikigaya-kun's help. Oh. Sakinagi's expression flickered slightly. She then turned her gaze toward Hikigaya with a knowing smile. Thank you for your help, Hikigaya-kun. You're welcome. Feeling the strange look in Sakinagi's eyes, Hikigaya suddenly felt a chill run down his spine, as if she had seen right through him. Nope. This little white-haired menace is terrifying. Since there's nothing else, we'll be heading back now, Hikigaya said to Ishiki and prepared to leave. Wait. Two voices stopped him in unison. One was Ishiki. The other was Horikata. Surprised, Hikigaya turned to Horikata. He hadn't expected her to stop him. Looking a bit flustered, Horikata quickly composed herself and said, "The training camp." "Oh, right. Senpai, we haven't finished discussing the training camp." Ishiki huffed, grabbing Hikigaya's arm. Hikigaya-kun, why don't you sit down? Let's continue our discussion. It won't take long. Tsukinagi smiled at him sweetly. With three girls staring him down, Hikigaya felt like the air in the room had gotten heavier. Left with no choice, he reluctantly sat back down. Ladies, cough. I mean, is there really anything left to discuss? Didn't President Horikata already say that Advanced Nurturing High School wouldn't be doing a joint training camp with Subu High? He turned to Horikata, only for her to huff in response. Good. That's the attitude I want to see. Senpai. You. Seeing Hikigaya's utterly indifferent attitude, Ishiki nearly lost it. She had expected him to be useful, but now it felt like she'd brought along a completely useless teammate. If Horikata and Tsukinagi weren't present, she would have already smacked some sense into her dear senpai. Our president was just testing you actually. A joint training camp between Advanced Nurturing High and Sobya High isn't impossible. Tsukinagi smiled and looked at the dazed Horikata. Right, President? Huh? Snapping back to reality, Horikata hesitated, her gaze flickering toward Hikigaya. A joint training camp with Sobya High. Aye. Please excuse us for a moment. I need to have a little chat with our dear president. It won't take long. Noticing the change in Horikata's demeanor, Tsukinagi smiled and turned to Hikigaya and Ishiki. Understood. Senpai, let's wait outside. Ishiki grinned and pulled Hikigaya up, dragging him toward the door. The two left the private room, giving the other two some privacy. At the doorway, Ishiki playfully hugged Hikigaya's arm. Hikigaya was drenched in cold sweat. After a few moments of silence, Ishiki suddenly spoke. Senpai, did you know? I feel like strangling you right now. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Trying to sabotage my training camp plans. Ishiki's playful tone faded, and she spoke in a calm, almost chilling voice. Damn, she really is a little Haruno. Even her tone is starting to sound like that woman. Advanced Nurturing High School isn't as simple as it seems. Taking a deep breath, Hikigaya sighed. I helped you become the student council president, and naturally, I'll help you maintain that position. There are many ways to do that. You don't need to pick one that's so dangerous. If things get out of control. So that's it, senpai. You were worried about me. Ishiki suddenly smiled again and tightened her hold on his arm, playfully purring. In that case, should I punish you, or should I reward you? Senpai, take your pick, punishment or reward? Huh? Hey. Aren't guys supposed to keep a proper distance from girls? And since when do guys even get to choose between punishment and reward from a girl? Obviously, any normal guy would pick Hikigaya-kun. Ishiki-san, you can come back in now. Just then, a voice from inside the room interrupted them. Got it. Ishiki responded cheerfully, then turned to Hikigaya with a sweet smile. Come on, senpai, let's go back and let go of my arm. Feeling relieved, Hikigaya grumbled in annoyance. They returned to the private room. Tsukinagi gave them the answer. Ishiki was overjoyed. A joint training camp is approved? Thank you, Tsukinagi-san. Thank you, President Horikata. Hikigaya's heart sank. He turned to Horikata. Sensing his gaze, Horikata let out a small huff and turned her head away, trying to hide the faint blush on her face. Wait a minute. Didn't you just say in the restroom that you never wanted to see me again? Now you're suddenly agreeing to this? Sigh. Women. They are truly incomprehensible creatures. The girls continued their cheerful discussion. Mainly about the details of the joint training camp between their two schools. Hikigaya had nothing to add. He just sat there and watched as they enthusiastically debated the logistics. Senpai, I'll leave Tsukinagi-san in your care. Make sure you help her properly. Just as she was about to leave with Horikata, Ishiki turned back and smirked at Hikigaya. You. Hikigaya was on the verge of tears. Why the hell are you leaving me alone with her? And now I have to help her too? Hey. Just because you're the student council president now doesn't mean you can just order me around like this. Tsukinagi-san, feel free to use senpai however you like. He's very obedient and well-behaved, Ishiki teased. Much appreciated. Tsukinagi smiled politely. Hearing this, Hikigaya nearly broke down. Soon, only Hikigaya and Tsukinagi were left in the private room. Feeling the pressure, Hikigaya sat stiffly, on edge. Taking a deep breath, he reluctantly spoke. Sakinagi-san. Hikigaya-kun. Sakinagi suddenly cut him off, smiling sweetly. Was my dear president fun? Looking at the amused expression on Sakinagi's face, Hikigaya's stomach dropped. A cold chill ran through his body. Chapter 212, Sakinagi. Hee, my dear, you wouldn't want Yuki Noshita to find out, would you? Under Sakinagi's smiling gaze, Hikigaya maintained an outward facade of calm, his face unflushed, his heartbeat steady, but in reality, he was struggling to even breathe properly. Had Sakinagi figured out his relationship with Horikita? Stay calm. This little white-haired menace was undoubtedly formidable. Her observational skills and analytical ability were top tier. But surely, she wasn't capable of telling at a glance whether Horikita was still, well, a virgin, right? Hikigaya took a deep breath. I have no idea what you're talking about. I was just accompanying Horikita-san to the infirmary. Did you misunderstand something? He said coolly. Oh? Sakinagi's smile remained unchanged. So merely accompanying our dear president to the infirmary was enough to make her attitude toward you do a complete 180? Her attitude changed? In what way? Hikigaya replied, keeping his voice steady. She still doesn't care about a dead fish-eyed guy like me. She even snorted at me a few times. You saw that, didn't you? That was just her being shy around you. Huh. Hee, Hikigaya-kun, you're quite impressive. It only took you a short while to completely tame our ever-so-stubborn president. Sakinagi's gaze sharpened with amusement. Even I would have a hard time pulling that off. After all, our school's Horikita president is famous for her unyielding nature. Hikigaya was speechless. Did he actually break Horikita? No. That's impossible. When they left the restroom, Horikita had been giving him nothing but sour expressions, repeatedly telling him that it was the last time, that they should both forget it ever happened. She had even said she never wanted to see him again in this lifetime. Sakinagi's gaze never left him. For someone to truly win over our president through normal means, well, that would be far too difficult. So, allow me to make a bold hypothesis. Sakinagi leaned forward slightly, her smile widening. Hikigaya-kun, did you and our president accidentally do it? Nani? Hikigaya's pupils shrank, his heart pounding. He stared at the white-haired girl in front of him, utterly in disbelief. No way. Did she really figure it out? That's impossible. Did Horikita slip up? Horikita, damn it, how could you be so careless? How did you even become student council president? Seeing Hikigaya remain silent, Sakinagi's expression shifted slightly. I was right? Hikigaya exhaled, trying to regain his composure. Whatever's between me and Horikita, that's none of your business. Indeed, it isn't. Sakinagi responded serenely. But in the next moment, her lips curled into a devilish grin. However, what if your girlfriend were to find out about this? Huh? Hikigaya stiffened. Hee, my dear Hikigaya-kun, you wouldn't want your girlfriend to know that you and Horikita kissed, would you? Hikigaya's mind went blank. Dead. He was absolutely dead. This little white-haired menace. She knew they kissed. Wait. Kissing? Well, cough cough, he and Horikita had done far more than just that. He instinctively glanced at Sakinagi, who was watching him with an amused smile, waiting for his reaction. Hikigaya took a deep breath. How do you know I even have a girlfriend? Sakinagi chuckled. Ishiki-san told me. She shared quite a bit about you, especially the fact that your girlfriend is the famous Yuki Noshita Yukino from Subiu High. That damn Ishiki. Hikigaya's eye twitched. He should never have shown an ounce of sympathy for that backstabbing Kuhai. He should have just let her trip and lose all her little pearls. Fine. Yes, I did accidentally kiss Horikita. After some thought, Hikigaya decided to admit it outright. But it was just an accident. My girlfriend is incredibly understanding. She wouldn't care about something trivial like that. Are you sure about that? Sakinagi's smirk deepened. Because, from what I recall, Yuki Noshita is an extremely possessive woman. Wait, from what you recall? Hikigaya narrowed his eyes. You know Yuki Noshita? Sakinagi merely smiled without answering. Meanwhile, just outside the room a certain someone, who had been stealthily eavesdropping, had her brows furrowed tightly. Sakinagi. Risu. Yuki Noshita muttered to herself. At first, the name hadn't rung any bells. But as the conversation continued, something about it clicked. Sakinagi. Sakinagi? Yuki Noshita's expression changed. Wait. Is it that Sakinagi? Risu-chan? The next second she hurriedly pulled out her phone and scrolled through an album she rarely opened. Flipping through old pictures. Searching. Until finally she found it. A picture from her first or second year of elementary school. In the photo, Two little girls, one with black hair, the other with white, stood side by side beneath a cherry blossom tree, both beaming with radiant smiles. On either side of them stood two elegant women dressed in kimono, wearing warm, gentle expressions. From left to right, Sakinagi's mother. Sakinagi-chan. Yukinoshita-chan. And Yukinoshita's mother. Ugh. It really is Risa-chan. Yukinoshita's heart swelled with emotion. Memories came flooding back. Sakinagi, Risa's mother, had been close friends with her own mother. When they were children, Risa often came over to her house to play. But then Risa had gone abroad for her studies, and over time, Yukinoshita had simply forgotten. Now, though I've finally caught you, Hikigaya-kun. Sakinagi, you're too close. My legs are a little numb. So, I'll be counting on you, Hikigaya-kun. You have a cane. A cane? That's nowhere near as convenient as you, Hikigaya-kun. Ha. Their conversation drifted into Yukinoshita's ears. She snapped out of her nostalgic daze. Wait. What were those two doing? Ding. Hikigaya-kun touched Sakinagi Risa's waist. Points plus 220, huh? Hold on. Just touching Risa's waist gave him that many points? That's almost on par with what he got from Haruno. Then if they actually slept together, wouldn't that be? A crazy thought suddenly popped into Yukinoshita's mind. Her childhood friend and her beloved husband. Maybe they should develop their relationship a little further? Chapter 213, Are we a couple now? The streets of Tokyo were bustling with people, skyscrapers towering overhead, a stark contrast to the relatively quieter Chiba. Hakuman found his arm being intimately held by Sakinagi as they strolled down the sidewalk, looking just like a couple. A delicate and refreshing fragrance emanated from the girl beside him, complementing her adorable appearance. Truly a lethal combination. However, rather than feeling any joy from being so close to a beautiful girl, Hakuman looked as if he were wearing a mask of pain, utterly miserable. Sakinagi, on the other hand, was all smiles, radiating happiness as she spoke to him cheerfully. Hakuman-kun, let's go pick out a few more outfits, shall we? Notably, at this moment, Hakuman's right hand was already weighed down by several shopping bags filled with clothes and dairy products Sakinagi had just bought. Sigh. He could only let out a resigned sigh and nod. Hakuman-kun, why the long face? Are the bags too heavy? Sakinagi teased with a sly smile. It's not that. Pausing for a moment, Hakuman took a deep breath and looked seriously at the girl beside him. From their earlier conversation, he had learned that Sakinagi was quite familiar with his girlfriend, Yukinoshita, so much so that it was clear they must have known each other personally. Hakuman had been trying to get more information out of her, but Sakinagi kept dodging the topic, much to his frustration. If they were enemies, wouldn't that spell trouble for him as Yukinoshita's boyfriend? Hakuman-kun, why did you stop? You're staring at me. Is there something on my face? Sakinagi asked with an innocent smile. Damn. That devilish smile. Clearing his throat, Hakuman decided to ask directly, I'm just wondering. Sakinagi, you're not Yukinoshita's enemy, are you? Enemy? Sakinagi blinked in surprise. Yeah. Otherwise, why are you so interested in me? My guess is that you're using me to get revenge on Yukinoshita. Given his girlfriend's past personality, it wouldn't be surprising if she had made some enemies among other girls. PFFT Hakuman-kun, you really say the funniest things. Sakinagi chuckled. Seeing how serious he looked, she giggled and said, it's nothing that dramatic. How could we be enemies? Hey, not enemies? Then what, are you two good friends or something? Hakuman asked casually. As expected of Hakuman-kun, you got it right? Hakuman froze. Wait, seriously? You two were childhood friends? How did you know? Sakinagi's eyes lit up. That was just an obvious guess. Avoiding her gaze, Hakuman looked away awkwardly. Sakinagi chuckled softly, then sighed. Yes, we were childhood friends. We used to play together all the time when we were little. But after she went abroad, we lost touch. I wonder if she still remembers. She definitely remembers you. Yukinoshita really values her friends. Hakuman replied casually. Oh? Sakinagi's eyes twinkled with amusement as she tightened her grip around Hakuman's arm, leaning in close. Hakuman-kun, you're quite sweet, aren't you? Huh? Sweet? Hakuman was dumbfounded. Hold on, you're too close. What's wrong with being a little close? Hakuman-kun, are you getting shy? Sakinagi teased, laughing as she watched him squirm. Do whatever you want. Out of the corner of his eye, Hakuman glanced at Sakinagi's chest. Roughly the same level as Yukinoshita's. Wait, no. Actually, maybe even smaller than his girlfriend's already modest figure. Naturally, Sakinagi caught his subtle yet dismissive glance, and her smile deepened. She leaned in even closer. Hukuman-kun, are you looking down on me? And no. Hukuman responded with a deadpan face, completely unfazed. No. Hukuman-kun, just as Tsukinagi was about to press further and playfully seduce him, a gust of wind suddenly blew past. In an instant, her beret was swept off her head. The once composed Tsukinagi suddenly looked flustered, a rare sight, as she called out in distress, "My hat!" Hukuman-kun. Ugh, got it. Seeing her pleading expression, Hukuman sighed and let go of her arm, quickly chasing after the hat. Unfortunately, the forces of nature were relentless, and in the blink of an eye, the beret was carried up into a nearby tree. Well, that's just great. Tsukinagi reached up to touch her now exposed head, looking visibly troubled. After glancing at the tree, Hukuman thought for a moment. Then, to the shock of Tsukinagi and the surrounding pedestrians, he nimbly climbed up like a monkey, scaling it with ease. Thanks to his recent training, his upper body strength had improved significantly, making the climb a simple task. Retrieving the beret, he swiftly descended, landing gracefully on the ground. The surrounding crowd murmured in admiration. Hukuman approached Tsukinagi and carefully placed the hat back on her head. Thank you. Tsukinagi muttered, lowering her head so that her expression was hidden. No problem. Hukuman shook his head, but as he looked at the black beret, a faint memory surfaced. Speaking of berets. Back in middle school, on his way home, he had once picked up a white beret for a girl. She had been very pretty. Well, at least. That was how he vaguely remembered it. To be honest, his mind had been in a haze back then. He had just been rejected in a confession and was in his ultimate self-loathing phase. He had returned the hat without even properly looking at the girl's face. As Hukuman was lost in thought, Tsukinagi spoke in a small voice. Hukuman-kun, how long are you going to keep patting my head? Sorry. It's fine. Tsukinagi lifted her gaze, lips curling into a faint smile. Hukuman-kun, I think we should leave now. After all, your little act of heroism just now was far too impressive. What do you mean, huh? Finally snapping out of his thoughts, Hukuman looked around. The surrounding pedestrians were not only murmuring but had also begun taking pictures of him and Tsukinagi. Mommy, that big brother is so cool. And the white-haired sister is so pretty. Hee, they totally look like a couple, don't they? They're so cute together. They must be high schoolers. Youth is wonderful. Hukuman felt a chill run down his spine. No. There's no way I'm a couple with this devilish little white-haired girl. Meanwhile, Tsukinagi simply smiled, pleased with the misunderstanding. She murmured to herself, the first time was on a summer beach in elementary school. The second time was on a Tokyo street, catching my hat. Chapter 214, Tsukinagi, a child with Hikigaya-kun would definitely be outstanding. Wait. Hikigaya-kun, you're going too fast. I can't keep up. Sorry, I'll try to. Hikigaya-kun, don't rush so much, slow down a bit. Hikigaya hesitated. Why does everything this devilish white-haired girl says sound so strange? He glanced down at the girl in his arms. She was clutching his shirt tightly, her big eyes blinking up at him. So cute. Wait. Cough. That's just a devil's smile. Taking a deep breath, Hikigaya continued carrying her in a princess carry, hurrying away. His main goal was to avoid letting passers-by take pictures of them. His stunt of plucking the beret from the tree had been way too flashy, attracting a lot of attention. Some people even said they were going to post photos of them as a couple on social media. That scared Hikigaya half to death. Hikigaya-kun, actually. It's not a big deal. I don't really mind. Tsukinagi chuckled as she watched him fluster. Hikigaya ignored the giggling devil. I mind. If Yukino-shita found out he was this close to Tsukinagi, wouldn't that be the end for him? Wouldn't she go berserk and skin him alive? Moments later, Hikigaya finally reached a quiet park, still carrying Tsukinagi in his arms. Phew. This place should be safe. Breathing a sigh of relief, he carefully placed the girl onto a bench. Hikigaya-kun, I never thought you'd be such a good runner. Tsukinagi's eyes sparkled as she stared at his legs. I've been working out recently. Hikigaya said casually, instinctively putting some distance between them. Boys who work out are pretty popular with girls, you know. Tsukinagi smiled, leaning in closer. Like a hunter eyeing its prey, Tsukinagi's gaze made Hikigaya squirm. He kept shifting away, avoiding her eyes. Seeing this, Tsukinagi sighed. Hikigaya-kun, if you stay that far away, how am I supposed to wipe your sweat? No need. That won't do. Shaking her head, Tsukinagi spoke seriously, you helped me get my hat back. If I don't properly thank you, I'll feel guilty. Come on just a little closer, or I'll have to report this to Yukino-chan. Hikigaya twitched. Why are you bringing her up? Fine, I won't mention her. Just move closer. Sigh. Resigned, Hikigaya reluctantly gave in to the demon lord. Seeing his compliance, Sakinagi grinned triumphantly and pulled out a handkerchief from her pocket. Carefully, she dabbed away the sweat on his forehead. Hikigaya-kun, your face is so red I just ran too much. Is that so? Yes. Ignoring her teasing, Hikigaya turned his gaze away, trying to avoid direct eye contact. But even so, out of the corner of his eye, he still caught sight of Sakinagi's delicate, doll-like features. Her appearance was unfairly cute, combined with her unique fragrance. Not gonna lie, just like Yukino Shida, even without the so-called assets many girls prided themselves on, Sakinagi was still a walking super weapon against men. Hikigaya-kun, when you put my hat on earlier, were you thinking about another girl? Huh? Her sudden question startled Hikigaya. Does this girl have mind-reading powers? I knew it. Hikigaya-kun was thinking about another girl. Sakinagi's smile gleamed as she continued wiping his sweat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's with this interrogation grin? Taking a deep breath, Hikigaya reluctantly admitted, I was just thinking about something from the past. The past? Sakinagi blinked curiously. If you don't mind, can you tell me? I'd love to hear it, Hikigaya tch, calling it a request when it's clearly a threat. Damn sneaky white-haired devil. I just remembered. There was a time when I helped a girl pick up her beret. Oh? Sakinagi's eyes brightened as she immediately asked, you remember something from the past? Hikigaya continued, yes, but I barely remember the details. Just bits and pieces. Hee, as long as you remember a little, you'll eventually recall everything. Sakinagi chuckled meaningfully. Why do I feel like she's hinting at something? Hikigaya didn't dwell on it and simply replied, maybe. Then, Sakinagi suddenly asked, for example. Was it at the beach? Huh? The beach? During an elementary school summer vacation? Elementary school summer vacation? Hikigaya frowned. It wasn't? Sakinagi immediately pressed, her tone sounding unusually eager. Hikigaya hesitated. He could barely remember his middle school days, let alone elementary school. But now that she mentioned it, maybe, just maybe, he had picked up a beret for some boy. Or was it a girl? At the beach one summer during elementary school? Then again, that was just a vague impression. Too lazy to dwell on childhood memories, Hikigaya shook his head and said, no, it was in middle school. I found a beret on a slope by the street. I remember the road was lined with cherry blossom trees in full bloom. In the end, I returned the white beret to a girl. And that's about it. A white beret? Shouldn't it have been black? It was definitely at the beach. How did it turn into a middle school cherry blossom street? Sakinagi muttered under her breath. Could it be that there was another girl? Sakinagi? Hey, Sakinagi? Watching her mumble to herself with a strange look, Hikigaya cautiously called out, feeling an inexplicable sense of unease. It's nothing. Hearing his voice, Sakinagi suddenly lifted her head with a smile. Then, as if on instinct, she reached out and touched Hikigaya's chest, chuckling softly. Forget that. Let's talk about you instead. Hee. Hikigaya-kun, I just realized. You're surprisingly well built. Hee. I like that. Feeling her hand on him, Hikigaya's expression shifted. A sudden chill ran down his spine. Why? Why does Sakinagi's smile seem 10 times scarier than before? And also boundaries. Personal space. No touching. Chapter 215, Yuki no Shida, what? Sakinagi wants to have Hikuman's baby? In the park. The two of them sat on a bench like a couple. Sakinagi-san, please mind yourself. And stop touching me. Seeing the girl shamelessly grope his chest, Hikuman backed away and spoke up in protest. Just a little feel, it's no big deal. Sitting right beside him, Sakinagi responded with a playful smile. Huh? The corner of Hikuman's mouth twitched. Honestly, being touched by such a cute girl wasn't exactly unpleasant. However, every time he saw that radiant smile on Sakinagi's face, goosebumps ran down his arms. And men and women shouldn't casually touch each other. Cut it out already. Hikuman couldn't help but push Sakinagi gently. Like a sheet of paper, the moment he applied the slightest force, she toppled to the ground with a pitiful cry. Hikuman stared, dumbfounded. He had barely touched her, and she just collapsed? That's way too fragile, isn't it? Hikuman-kun. You're so rough. Holding her arm and looking up at him with eyes full of grievance, Sakinagi gave off the image of a delicate doll, heart-touching and pitiful. Sorry. Hikuman quickly apologized. After a brief hesitation, he offered her his hand. Need help getting up? She nodded softly, but there was a sly glint in her eyes. With a sigh, Hikuman helped her up and gently sat her back on the bench like she was made of porcelain. So soft. Her body really did feel like a breakable doll. Hakuman-kun, you're way too strong. Instinctively leaning into his chest, Sakinagi gave a light sigh. This cunning woman. Hakuman desperately wanted to push her away, but the image of that fallen porcelain doll scene replayed in his mind. Left with no choice, he let her snuggle against him. Sigh. Thank God Yuki no Shita didn't see this. That would have been a nightmare. Hakuman sighed inwardly and said, it's not that I'm strong. It's just that your body is too delicate. Girls as frail as you should really avoid going out so much. Stay home, rest, recover. Maybe over time, your health will improve. Alas, it's a congenital condition. No amount of rest will cure it. I suppose this is just how I'll be for life. Sakinagi sighed. That's great. Then just stay home and don't come out terrorizing the world like a demon queen. Of course, Hakuman said nothing out loud. On the surface, he kept a composed face, even pretending to be sad. There might be a way. Medical technology is advancing rapidly. Maybe someday, there'll be a cure. The future, huh? Who can say what the future holds? Sakinagi said wistfully. Still, no reason to give up hope. That's true. Suddenly, Sakinagi smiled again. But more than the future, I care about the present. My body may never change, but I don't want my future child to inherit the same condition. It's hereditary? Hakuman asked, surprised. Not entirely. But there is a bit of influence. Sakinagi's eyes sparkled as she looked at him. So, to ensure my future child doesn't end up like me, I'm definitely going to marry a nice, strong man. That way, the baby might inherit the father's strong constitution. That makes sense. You should definitely marry someone strong. Hakuman nodded earnestly. But then he suddenly noticed Sakinagi was staring at him, smiling with clear intent. A chill crept down Hakuman's spine. What's with that loaded look in her eyes? Speaking of which, Hakuman-kun. You're pretty sturdy yourself, Sakinagi purred. It's nothing special. Just average. Hakuman quickly added, I only started working out a month ago. Before that, I was totally scrawny. Anyone could have knocked me flat. Wow, and you've already bulked up this much in just a month? That means you've got great athletic potential, Hakuman-kun? What's the point of having athletic potential? Hakuman muttered, then exaggerated a sigh. I'm the kind of guy who works hard for 3 days, then slacks off for 2. Pretty soon, I'll probably get bored of exercising altogether. Lazy, huh? Yeah. That's just who I am. Hey, that's fine. You just need someone to supervise you. Someone like me, for example. I actually love keeping an eye on boys. Sakinagi said with a sweet smile. This little gremlin. What the hell are you implying? Hakuman was sweating now, his nerves on edge. Sakinagi-san, with your condition. If you ended up dating someone who's too strong, it might not be good for your health. Ahem. I know. She nodded with a mock dejected look, then quickly smiled again. But don't worry. These days, artificial insemination is a thing. It's not like we have to do it the old-fashioned way, right, Haku-kun? Her teasing gaze sent Hakuman's heart racing. He quickly looked away, refusing to meet her eyes. This girl is way too dangerous. Stay calm. Don't let the little white-haired devil seduce you. Your girlfriend is Yuki no Shita. Yuki no Shita. Hakuman-kun, if I'm going to find someone to have a child with, there's one more condition. Sakinagi slowly leaned in. There's no need to tell me that. Hakuman said, turning his body away. Ignoring his reaction, Sakinagi continued cheerfully, they have to be smart. And gentle. Obedient to their wife. A perfect candidate just so happens to be sitting right in front of me, huh? Hakuman's face gradually flushed. This wicked little gremlin, she's doing this on purpose, isn't she? Just as Hakuman was beginning to panic, ring ring. His phone suddenly rang. A call. Like a startled cat, Hakuman instinctively jumped back and pulled away from Sakinagi. Then he quickly pulled out his phone. A savior. A freaking lifesaver. He let out a sigh of relief only to see who the caller was. Yuki no Shita. His pupils contracted. His heart skipped a beat. Why is she calling now? At the same time, Yuki no Shita, having used an eavesdropping card, was hiding behind a tree near the park, fuming with rage as she dialed Hakuman. You sneaky little Rasu. You think you can have Hakuman's baby? Hakuman, see, do you think that belongs to you? Chapter 216, Farewell, Shizuka Hiratsuka. Hikigaya's affection level for Hiratsuka-sensei. Sakinagi getting a little cozy with Hikigaya. Yuki no Shita could tolerate that. In fact, she secretly hoped Sakinagi would try a bit harder. But if it went as far as getting pregnant? If Sakinagi actually bore her beloved's child? That, Yuki no Shita absolutely could not accept. That crossed the line. Only I am allowed to have Hikigaya-kun's child. She made that silent vow to herself with unwavering resolve. Panicked, She immediately called her beloved, determined to stop her childhood friend from seducing him any further. "Hello, Yuki Shida." "Hello, Hikigaya-kun." The call connected, and the two exchanged their usual pleasantries. "How did things go?" Yuki Shida, hiding behind a tree nearby, asked gently as her eyes remained fixed on the pair sitting on the park bench. Meanwhile, Hikigaya, trying to deal with both the call and the girl leaning against him, raised a finger to his lips at Tsukinagi and replied helplessly, "It worked. Subuhai's third years will be going on a joint training camp with the third years from Yuzai High. Hey, you little white-haired menace, are you serious right now? I'm on the phone here. Back off." "Really?" Yuki Shida's voice came through the phone, a soft giggle trailing after, "Hey, I knew I could count on you, Hikigaya-kun. I heard the student council president of Yuzai High is tough to deal with. I didn't expect you to handle her so easily." "Eh? That's because..." "Ow. What's wrong?" "And nothing, just bit my tongue." "Silly, be careful, okay?" "Got it." Hikigaya responded calmly, though his expression darkened as he glanced at the girl clinging to him, silently pleading for mercy. Tsukinagi only smiled slyly and sneakily reached over to touch his chest. "You." Hikigaya's expression instantly twisted. "Hikigaya-kun? And no, it's nothing. Just that my tongue really hurts." Trying to keep Yuki Shida from noticing anything unusual, Hikigaya scrambled to cover things up. After a few more minutes, completely overwhelmed, he finally tried to change the subject. "Is there anything else? If not, I think I'll hang up now." His current situation was a nightmare, dealing with Tsukinagi while keeping up a normal conversation with Yuki Shida. He was about to crack. "Wait a second." Yuki Shida immediately stopped him. "What else is there?" Hikigaya asked, resigned. "Since the camp's settled, you should be heading back now, right?" "Yeah, I'm almost at the station." Hikigaya replied nervously, stealing a glance at the radiant smile on Tsukinagi's face. "Hey, is that so? Good. You're planning something, aren't you?" "Foo-foo, get back early, we can go on a date." "Huh? A date? Today? Can't. Well, by the time I get back it might be late. How about tomorrow?" "You see." Hikigaya hesitated, eyeing the clingy Tsukinagi cautiously. "We can still go out at night. The day's far from over. I got it. I'll be back as soon as I can." Hikigaya sighed. "I'll be waiting." With that, they ended the call. Still nestled in Hikigaya's arms, Tsukinagi gave a long, deliberate sigh. "Hikigaya-kun and little Yukino really are close. I wonder what you'll be doing together once you get back? What we do has nothing to do with you." "Well, I can't exactly pry, but..." Tsukinagi suddenly smirked and leaned in close. "Hikigaya-kun, your heart was racing just now. Don't tell me you were a little moved?" "Wham, moved? What are you talking about?" Hikigaya leaned back in alarm. "Doing this behind your beloved girlfriend's back, with another girl?" Foo-foo. Her smile turned dazzlingly mischievous, and the wink that followed nearly sent Hikigaya into meltdown. "It's just because you were so close, Tsukinagi." "Oh? So me getting close makes your heart race? Any guy would lose it if a cute girl like you leaned on them, okay?" "Eh?" Tsukinagi blinked. "A cute girl like me?" The next moment a wicked smile spread across her lips, one that screamed no shame whatsoever. "Why did I compliment this little devil? Why won't she just let me off the hook?" Taking a deep breath, Hikigaya gently tried to push her away. Anyway, Tsukinagi-san, I've got things to take care of, so I should get going. Let me walk you back." "Sure, once the training camp starts, we'll have plenty of chances to hang out," Tsukinagi said sweetly. "Oh god. I'm going to be stuck on a trip with a bunch of demons. Someone save me. Yuki Shida, help." Hikigaya sighed in despair while Tsukinagi smiled cheerfully as the two of them stood up and walked out of the park. "Is someone coming to pick you up?" "Yes." Tsukinagi blinked at the boy beside her. "Hikigaya-kun looks kind of happy." "Of course I'm happy. I'm finally rid of you, you devil." Hikigaya quickly forced a neutral expression and replied, "Not really." Seeing him struggle to hold back his grin, Tsukinagi's lips curled up. She murmured softly, "So cute. Though I doubt you'll be smiling much in the days to come." Hee hee. The two reached the roadside and waited. About 10 minutes later, a red sports car pulled up in front of them. A sports car? Figures she really is a rich girl. But wait. Why does this car look so familiar? Just as Hikigaya was racking his brain, the driver's side window rolled down, and a familiar face beamed at them. She greeted Tsukinagi first with casual politeness. Then, turning to Hikigaya, the black-haired woman smiled. "Yo, long time no see, Hikigaya." "Teacher?" Hikigaya stared in disbelief. No wonder the car seemed familiar. It was none other than his former homeroom teacher Shizuka Hiratsuka's car. Haha, I thought you might have forgotten me. Well, as long as you still remember, that's good enough. We can talk more later, get in, both of you. Hiratsuka said, clearly pleased. Let's go. Hikigaya-kun Tsukinagi, still clinging to his arm, nudged him forward. Wait a minute. Hikigaya looked from his familiar teacher to the equally familiar car, torn and bewildered. When your teacher tells you to get in, you get in. Go on. Tsukinagi gave him a firm push. Hikigaya sighed in defeat and got into the car with her. Ah. Youth. Hiratsuka murmured as she watched the two stick together, a complicated look flashing across her face. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Yukinoshita, still hiding, felt her heart skip a beat, completely unable to stay calm. She nearly lost it on the spot. No way. Hikigaya-kun's affection level for Hiratsuka-sensei is that high? Hikigaya-kun's affection for Shizuka Hiratsuka, 92 out of 100, respect, Shizu is cute. And if not for Yukinoshita, Chapter 217, Tsukinagi, so milky, so fragrant. Yukinoshita was completely out of sorts. Hiding nearby, she watched helplessly as Hikigaya and Tsukinagi got into Hiratsuka Shizuka's car. Hikigaya-kun's favorability toward Hiratsuka-sensei is way too high, isn't it? But back then, Hikigaya-kun used to always complain about Hiratsuka-sensei, how she smoked, drank, and used violence. No, that's not right. Hikigaya-kun is its son dear. What he says might be the opposite of what he feels. Maybe he actually does like her. And besides, Hiratsuka-sensei's figure is so good. She's got the boobs, she's got the ass. Mumbling to herself like that, Yukinoshita glanced down in self-pity at her own pitiful chest. As a woman, she really did feel like a failure sometimes. Host, please remain calm. While Hikigaya-kun does currently hold a very high favorability rating toward Hiratsuka Shizuka, it's still not higher than the 99 favorability he has for you. Furthermore, Hikigaya-kun's favorability toward Hiratsuka Shizuka stems more from respect, like a junior toward a senior. He deeply admires his teacher, but as for romantic feelings, none have developed yet, right? Upon hearing the system's words, Yukinoshita finally calmed down, a smile slowly blooming on her face. There's no mention of love in the entry. Looks like Hikigaya-kun only likes her in a pure, admiring way. Huh? But then the line that says if not for Yukinoshita, does that mean? If I didn't exist, would Hikigaya-kun actually? Due to the host's presence being the woman Hikigaya-kun loves most, even if he were to feel tempted by Hiratsuka, his powerful will allows him to remain composed and restrained. As expected, I'm still the woman Hikigaya-kun loves the most. So happy. However, given Hikigaya-kun's high favorability toward Hiratsuka Shizuka, if the host were to give a little push, it wouldn't be hard to get them into bed. Hiratsuka Shizuka is an incredibly high-quality woman. If the two were to get intimate, you'd gain a large amount of points, eh? Get Hiratsuka-sensei into bed? Yukinoshita was stunned. Then she quickly shook her head, firmly denying it. No. That's absolutely not okay. Teacher-student relationships are strictly forbidden in Japan right now. If anyone found out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Host, it's all for the sake of points. Even if it's for points, it's still a no. Absolutely not. At most just a little harmless skinship, nothing too inappropriate. Yukinoshita stood her ground, firmly rejecting the system. Stuff like mothers, older sisters, and teachers. Absolutely off limits. At most maybe just older sisters. That's not illegal, at least. Meanwhile, Hiratsuka Shizuka chatted happily with Hikigaya and Tsukinagi in the backseat. The two women were all smiles, while Hikigaya, the lone male, just kept up a wry grin. Tsukinagi smiled and said, just as Hiratsuka-sensei said, Hikigaya-kun is quite an interesting boy. Too bad he's already taken. While driving, Hiratsuka laughed. Haha, Tsukinagi-san, do you have feelings for Hikigaya? Excellent boys always attract excellent girls. Tsukinagi narrowed her eyes at Hikigaya, the implication in her gaze painfully clear. See, come on, stop joking. Nothing that comes out of your mouth is ever serious. Hikigaya hastily cut in, flustered. But I am serious. If Hikigaya-kun doesn't believe me. She slowly leaned closer, her face drawing nearer and nearer. Hikigaya could even feel her breath on his face. Saka Tsukinagi, you. Just as Hikigaya was panicking, Hiratsuka suddenly slammed on the brakes. Huh? Hikigaya felt like he had slammed face first into a soft steel plate. Damn it. What's wrong with the car in front? Suddenly braking like that, what the hell? Hiratsuka cursed, then quickly turned to check on the passengers in the back. You two okay back there, huh? When she looked back, She found Hikagaya's head nestled right in Sakinagi's chest. Ah. Youth really is something. Hiratsuka sighed emotionally and turned her eyes back to the road. Hikigaya and Sakinagi were both stunned. Sakinagi instinctively reached out, trying to wrap her arms around Hikagaya's head to keep him there, but Hikigaya quickly pulled away. Sorry. No worries. Just an accident. Her cheeks slightly flushed, Sakinagi smiled as if it were nothing. Looking at the girl's incredibly disarming and adorable expression, Hikigaya quickly turned away and fell silent. That said, he couldn't deny that in his nose, there lingered a faint milky fragrance. Calm down. My girlfriend is Yuki no Shita. Yuki no Shita smells way better than Sakinagi. Yuki no Shita is the best girl. 10 minutes later, Hikigaya and the others arrived by car at Advanced Nurturing High School. As one of Tokyo's most prestigious schools, even just standing outside the school gate, one could feel the upscale aura it exuded. Could I trouble Hikigaya-kun to help me carry these things to the dorm? Sakinagi asked sweetly before getting out. Huh? Why me? Can't you ask one of your schoolmates to help? I don't have many friends. So I'd appreciate it if you could help me. Please. Sakinagi asked with a soft, pitiful tone. As a guy, it's only natural to help a girl in need. Go on, Hikigaya. Hiratsuka chimed in. She's right. Sakinagi added with a smile. Hikigaya let out a long sigh. Fine, I get it. Resigned, he picked up the pile of shopping bags Sakinagi had bought earlier. Thanks a lot. Sakinagi smiled and thanked him. I'll stay here. Hikigaya, I'll wait for you and drive you home after you're done. Hiratsuka said warmly. Yes, ma'am. Hikigaya nodded. And so the two of them got out of the car, and with shopping bags in hand, Hikigaya walked side by side with Sakinagi toward the school. But as they walked, Sakinagi suddenly and instinctively clung to Hikigaya's arm. Hikigaya was shocked. You. I'm afraid I might trip. I'm counting on you, Hikigaya-kun, she said apologetically. You're as flimsy as a sheet of paper, huh? Helpless. Hikigaya could only let it happen. The two of them entered Advanced Nurturing High School just like that. And the moment they stepped in, countless eyes instantly locked onto them. Students chatting on the roadside, those training on the field, and even students standing in the school building windows all turned their eyes toward the two. There was surprise, fury, confusion, and even killing intent. Sakinagi's smile remained radiant and composed. Hikigaya may have appeared calm on the outside, but inside, his heart was sinking. Crap. I've been set up. Chapter 218, Horikata, NGH, Too Fast S Slow Down. Who's that guy next to Sakinagi-senpai? He doesn't look like a student from our school. Sakinagi-senpai has never had physical contact with a guy before, let alone linking arms with one. And today, she actually... Don't tell me. That guy is her boyfriend? TCH. Look at that dead fish-eyed face. No way someone like Sakinagi would fall for a guy like that. If even someone like her is giving this guy that kind of attention, he must be something else. I heard Horikata and Sakinagi are negotiating with another school someplace called Sobuhai for a joint training camp. Horikata just got back not long ago, and now Sakinagi's returned with that guy. Could he be from Sobuhai? Someone speculated, eyeing Hikoman. In an instant, all of Advanced Nurturing High broke into whispers. The entire school was abuzz. After all, this was Sakinagi, vice president of the student council, de facto leader of Class A. Now suddenly getting so close to a complete stranger? That was more than enough to cause a stir. Hikoman followed Sakinagi until they arrived beneath the girls' dormitory building. Countless pairs of female eyes bore down on them, like hawks on prey. Feeling his scalp go numb, Hikoman, who'd long reached his limit, blurted out, "This should be far enough. I'm heading off now." "Oh? But if it's you, Hikoman-kun, I wouldn't mind letting you come inside," Sakinagi teased, clearly amused by the flustered boy beside her. "Huh?" Hikoman deadpanned. "This is the girls' dorm. How the hell can a guy just stroll in? I'd get murdered by your classmates." "PFFT, don't be scared, Hikoman-kun. I'm here, aren't I? I wouldn't let any other girl lay a finger on you," Sakinagi said with a sweet, almost dangerous smile as she leaned in closer. "Besides, in our school? Things you'd think impossible. Hey, they're surprisingly easy to arrange. I'm not interested." Hikoman recoiled, instinctively pushing her arm away. "But without you, I can't carry my stuff upstairs," she pouted, looking pitiful. "You're at the door already. Don't give me the crap." Hikoman sighed, glancing around. Several girls nearby looked like they wanted to charge at him but were hesitating, unsure of the situation. Some eyed him with curiosity, others with barely concealed hostility. "Just get one of your friends to help. I'm out." And with that, Hikoman swiftly turned to leave. "Wait." Sakinagi called again, grabbing his hand. Huh? Feeling the rise in hostility around him, Hukaman flinched. Turning back, he tried to stay calm. Something else? Hukaman-kun. Tsukinagi said softly, eyes filled with affection, I'll see you at the training camp, okay? I'll miss you. Her voice was tender, her gaze soft. She even puckered her lips slightly as if ready for a goodbye kiss. Why you? Let go. Now. Hukaman panicked. Still smiling, Tsukinagi asked sweetly, need someone to escort you out? I'd hate for you to get lost. I already memorized the way. He replied instantly. Unlike Yuki Noshita, who was utterly directionally challenged, Hukaman's memory was excellent. Hee, that's my Hukaman-kun. Already familiar with our school's layout? That's pretty impressive. Tsukinagi beamed with growing delight. Say, want to transfer here next semester? Huh? His face contorting in panic, Hukaman yanked his hand away from hers. No interest. Without another word, he turned and walked off at full speed. Watching his retreating figure, Tsukinagi let out a soft sigh. Such a shame. Her smile curled slowly, slyly. Well then. For the training camp ahead. Fufafu Tsukinagi-risa wasn't the type to let go of a man she had her eye on so easily. Hukaman-kun. Hukaman-kun. Eventually, I'll take you right out of Yukino's hands. Heh. Meanwhile, after parting ways with Tsukinagi, Hukaman made a beeline for the school gate. Even though students all around continued to shoot strange looks his way, whispering, gossiping, speculating, Hukaman pretended not to hear a thing. Even when someone tried to call out to him, he kept his head down. Hukaman. Hukaman. Hukiman. Didn't hear it. Didn't hear anything. Hukaman heard nothing. All Hukaman wanted was to get back into Hiratsuka-sensei's car. All he wanted was to go home. Hukaman. You deaf bastard. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his arm. Hukaman flinched. Sorry, I've got somewhere to, huh? Turning around, he found himself face to face with a black-haired girl, cheeks puffed red with anger. Hukaman's heart skipped a beat. Horikata? Deaf, are you? I've been calling you forever. Still gripping his arm tightly, Horikata glared at him in disbelief. Hukaman fumbled. No wonder the voice sounded familiar, it was Horikata. Sighing, he asked carefully, what is it? I was just about to head back. As he spoke, he glanced down at her hand still gripping his arm. Then around at the crowd that had gathered, whispering even more loudly. Horikata didn't seem to care about the growing audience at all. Her voice was icy cold. When did you and Tsukinagi get so close? You even walked her back to the dorm? Her tone was sharp enough to cut glass. And yet, in the midst of the coldness, Hukaman could almost smell a faint, bitter jealousy in the air. Don't tell me you actually like Tsukinagi? And here I thought you had a girlfriend. What, thinking of cheating now? Humphrey. Disgusting. Total scumbag. Horikata sneered, teeth clenched. Of course not. Hukaman denied at once. Seeing the growing crowd, he braced himself and gently tugged Horikata toward a more secluded area. What are you doing to me? Sigh, that's not the place to talk. Come on. Hey, you're walking too fast. Slow down. Her voice grew softer. A faint flush rose to her cheeks as she stumbled slightly, but still followed. The scene only caused more chaos among the surrounding students. Meanwhile, in the girls' dorm, Tsukinagi. Something big just happened. That guy of yours just got taken away by Horikata. A purple-haired girl burst into Tsukinagi's room, shouting. What did you just say? Tsukinagi had just sat down to rest. Upon hearing that, she abruptly stood up, her smile nowhere to be seen. Chapter 219, Horikata, I can't take it. Hikigaya is just too amazing. I want to understand him more deeply. I told you to slow down. You're going way too fast. Are you crazy? Sorry. Then let me carry you. Huh? You Before Horikata could get another word out, Hikigaya scooped her slender figure into his arms. He glanced around quickly, scanning the surroundings. To his dismay, there were surveillance cameras hidden in quite a few corners around the school building. With no other option, he circled around a bit before finally ducking behind a tree at the roadside, still carrying Horikata. At first, Horikata struggled hard in his arms, resisting stubbornly. But over time, she gradually quieted down, snuggling against Hikigaya like a tame kitten. Looking at the proud, straight-haired beauty who had now become so obedient in his arms, Hikigaya couldn't help but mumble softly, Yuki Noshita. His voice was barely audible, but Horikata heard it. Her expression immediately shifted. Furious, she raised her tiny fists and started pounding lightly on Hikigaya's chest. Are you blind? Look properly. I'm not your Yuki Noshita. Though she seemed enraged, her punches were feather-light. If anything, it felt more like a gentle massage than a beating. Sorry, Really? Hikigaya apologized as he slowly set her down. But just as he did, Horikita's foot twisted unexpectedly, and she stumbled forward into Hikigaya. Caught off guard, Hikigaya failed to steady her and the two of them toppled over, landing on the grass. Hikigaya ended up on the bottom. Horikita on top. Their eyes locked, gazes tangled together as if some invisible, sticky thread of tension was being drawn between them. The air turned heavy with unspoken words and closeness. But after a few moments, Hikigaya snapped back to his senses. He noticed her trembling thighs. Your leg. Ugh, it's your fault. Now my leg. Sorry. Flushing red, Hikigaya apologized again, quickly averting his gaze. After what had happened earlier that morning, he could shrug it off as a guy. But Horikita was a girl, and for her, it had been a first. So it was no surprise her legs still felt odd. Where did they go? Looks like Horikita-senpai and that guy have something going on too. TSK. Who was that guy? It's not just Vice President Tsukinagi, even Horikita-senpai treats him differently. That's super rare. Could he be the heir to some powerful conglomerate? Definitely someone with a hidden background. Behind the tree, Hikigaya and Horikita could faintly hear a group of students chatting. Hikigaya could only sigh inwardly. I'm just a regular guy, you know. As the voices drifted past, he instinctively looked over at Horikita. Her expression was just as troubled, cheeks bright red from embarrassment, clearly struggling to get up. This idiot. If she just stands up like that, they'll be spotted for sure. If someone sees them like this, it's over. No matter how they try to explain, it'll only get worse. Wait. Don't move yet. Thud. Just as Horikita tried to stand, she lost balance again, and this time, their lips met. Horikita's eyes went wide with shock. Hikigaya was equally stunned. They both instinctively tried to pull away, but at that moment, more voices rang out nearby. Still can't find them, Tsukinagi. Nothing over there either. You guys keep searching. I'll rest here for a bit. Yes, ma'am. With that, a few students dispersed in various directions. Hikigaya and Horikita both stiffened. The voice they'd just heard was Tsukinagi. And Tsukinagi, you're sitting right in front of us. They were so mortified they didn't even dare move their mouths apart. Meanwhile, from the bench nearby, Tsukinagi murmured softly to herself, Hikigaya-kun, don't tell me you've fallen for Horikita? Sure, she does resemble little Yukino a bit, but is that enough to make you lose your mind? Hearing those words, both Hikigaya and Horikita felt a strange ripple stir inside them. Seconds ticked by. Minutes passed. After a short rest, Tsukinagi finally left. As for Hikigaya and Horikita, they were still kissing. Stay calm. My girlfriend is Yukino Shida. Snapping back to reality, Hikigaya cautiously pushed against Horikita. Huh? Why? Why won't she budge? Geez, what's with her strength? After struggling a bit, he finally managed to push her off. Horikita's face was crimson now. She stared straight at Hikigaya with misty eyes that looked like they could tug silk from the air. Her voice was soft and a little breathy. Hi Hikigaya. Her usual haughty tone was nowhere to be found. Instead, she sounded gentle, almost pleading. Combined with the subtle scent rising from her body, it was enough to make anyone's self-control snap. Horikita-san. I should get going. Please. Get off me. Taking a deep breath, Hikigaya steadied his emotions and spoke with as much calm as he could muster. Startled, Horikita came to her senses. Flustered and embarrassed, she scrambled up from the ground. Then she smoothed out her wrinkled clothes, collected herself, and once again put on her icy front. PFFT. Scumbag. You mistook me for your girlfriend Yukino Shida again, didn't you? And you even kissed me. Sis, weren't you the one who kissed me just now? Hikigaya sighed, deciding not to argue. He simply offered another apology. Humphrey. Like an apology actually changes anything? Horikita huffed angrily, cheeks still red. When we kissed just now. Were you thinking about your girlfriend Yukino Shida the whole time? That's not true. Horikita-san is Horikita-san. She's her own person. In fact, in some ways, she might even be better than her. I'm better than your girlfriend? A subtle change flickered across Horikita's face. She opened her mouth slightly, eyes lifting shyly to peek at Hikigaya only to catch him staring at her chest. Wait, what are you looking at? Her face turned beet red as she quickly covered herself with her arms and shot him a glare. Horikita-san, I'll be going now. Please take care of yourself and rest up today. Hikigaya turned on his heel and made a swift escape, bolting toward the school gates. Wait. But he was fast. In the blink of an eye, he was already a small black dot in the distance. Watching his retreating back disappear, Horikita instinctively reached up to fix her messy blouse. After everything they'd just been through, he hadn't even tried to take advantage of her. He hadn't even touched her waist once. Instead it was she who suddenly wanted to understand him more. Ugh, what am I doing? I was supposed to ask him about Tsukinagi. How did I end up getting led around by the nose like that? Smacking her flushed cheeks hard with both hands, Horikata bit her lip in frustration, then muttered in a complicated tone, could it be because I gave him my first time? And now I yuck. As if. There's no way someone like me Sazune Horikata would fall for someone like him. No way. Absolutely not. Chapter 220, Hiratsuka Shizuka's gentle guidance in front of the main gate of Advanced Nurturing High School. A luxurious red sports car was parked by the curb, the driver's door swung open. Hiratsuka Shizuka, dressed in casual black attire, sat in the driver's seat with one leg crossed over the other. A cigarette dangled from her lips as she exhaled a puff of smoke, gazing in mild annoyance at the panting figure of Hikigaya Hakuman running toward her. You're so slow. With that, Hiratsuka put out the cigarette and tossed the stub into the portable ashtray in her car. Something kind of bad happened. Hakuman gave a vague response, his eyelids twitching. His gaze drifted to the ashtray, where several still smoking butts lay. How many have you smoked? 3 or 4, maybe. After closing the ashtray lid, Hiratsuka gestured for him to get in. 3 or 4? Hakuman inhaled sharply and couldn't help but chide her. Smoking too much isn't good for your health. You're not wrong. Smoking too much is bad for your health. She gave him a look that hovered between a smirk and a sneer. That subtle smile from Hiratsuka made Hakuman's body stiffen. His face flushed slightly, and he quickly averted his eyes. Weird. Why does it feel like there's more behind what she just said? Well, today's an exception. Usually, I keep myself in check. But today I ran into a former student felt particularly good, so I indulged a little. She shrugged as she spoke. Then I guess it's my fault. Triggered your nicotine craving. Hakuman muttered under his breath. Haha, you haven't changed at all, Hikigaya. Hiratsuka chuckled as she glanced at him in the passenger seat. But don't say that. It's rare I run into an old student. Honestly, I'm really happy. A reunion between teacher and student. That rare, radiant smile from Hiratsuka caught Hakuman off guard. Something stirred faintly within him. Then he smiled, too. Come on. Let's go for a spin. She said cheerfully. And just like that Hiratsuka stepped on the gas, full of enthusiasm. Hakuman gave a wry smile. As expected. Hiratsuka-sensei. She hasn't changed a bit. Still the teacher he respected most. About 10 minutes later Hiratsuka brought the car to a stop on a nearly deserted bridge. Below was a stretch of deep blue ocean, stretching out to meet the horizon. Both of them got out of the car. For some reason this moment, this setting, struck Hakuman with a strange sense of déjà vu. He remembered now. Back in his second year of high school, when the service club was crumbling, barely holding itself together, it was this very woman who had brought him to the seaside. Thinking back to it all, even now, Hakuman couldn't forget. If it hadn't been for Hiratsuka-sensei, if she hadn't offered him her guidance, he probably would still be lost, still unable to understand the service club, unable to understand himself. Hiratsuka-sensei. Just as Hakuman was murmuring to himself, he suddenly noticed her pulling out another cigarette, ready to enjoy it in the sea breeze. At that, Hakuman quickly snatched the whole pack from her hand, grumbling, "You're still smoking? Eh? Just one more, come on, no way. You've had enough." That sudden cutesy tone of hers made Hakuman's face flush red. While trying to keep calm, he quickly shook his head in refusal. Such a beautiful scene like this. If I don't have just one, I'll burst. Just one, okay. Hikigaya Hiratsuka looked up at him with wide, pleading eyes. One moment she was the stern, serious teacher, the next she'd turned unbelievably soft and cute. This should be illegal. Too adorable. This woman and her whiplash charm. Fine. Last one. With no other choice, Hakuman handed the pack back to her. Alright. Last one. I promise. Hiratsuka smiled and took the pack. The two of them stood by the edge of the bridge. She lit a cigarette and exhaled gently, while they chatted and laughed, catching up on recent events. Well, mostly it was Hiratsuka venting about the madness of Advanced Nurturing High. She said her energy was constantly drained by a bunch of monsters masquerading as students, and she didn't even have time to go on arranged dates anymore. As for Hakuman, he just stood beside her quietly, listening intently, while offering a bitter smile. And now those monsters are going on a joint training camp with our school, too. Just great. Hey, I'll be counting on you to help guide those brats, alright? Hiratsuka said with a grin. Spare me, please. Hakuman sighed. Just dealing with Tsukinagi and Horikata is already exhausting, not to mention. Ugh. Haha, Not all of them are as eccentric as those two. Don't stress yourself. Still smiling, Hiratsuka added, almost as an afterthought, oh, by the way, between those two girls, especially Sakinagi, she's really interested in you, you know. Keeps popping by my office, asking about you, huh? Hukuman's expression shifted slightly. You told her? Sure I did. It's not like it's a state secret. She said casually. Honestly, from the way that girl reacts, I'd say she's probably into you. That's ridiculous. Hukuman quickly retorted. Sakinagi's a total little devil. Anyone she sets her sights on. Let's just say they'd be lucky to get away with their skin intact. Geez, that's a bit dramatic. It's true. He scowled, then slowly lowered his head, his voice growing softer and more hesitant. Besides, I have a girlfriend now. I should avoid getting too close to other girls. No, I must avoid them. I can't betray Yuki no Shida. Not again. As he spoke, a complicated look came over his face. Back there. Just now with Horikata. He had almost lost control. Even though Yuki no Shida was his girlfriend, he had nearly made a terrible mistake. Nearly hurt the person he loved most. He couldn't even remember how many times he'd already betrayed Yuki no Shida. Hiratsuka-sensei, Hikigaya, do you remember what I once told you? Just then, a hand gently landed on his head. A warm, earnest voice reached his ears. If you truly want to treasure someone, you must also be prepared to hurt them. So pull yourself together. Sensei. He slowly lifted his head, gazing at the kind smile on Hiratsuka's face, and for a moment, he found himself dazed. Meanwhile, Yuki no Shida sat quietly on a train bound for Chiba, calmly reading a book. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman has been gently embraced by Hiratsuka Shizuka. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's affection level for Hiratsuka Shizuka +1. Hikigaya Hukuman's affection for Hiratsuka Shizuka, 93 out of 100. Respect. If Yuki no Shida didn't exist in this world, I'd want to marry Sensei, huh? Chapter 221, Hiratsuka Sensei is just too incredible. PP Professor Hiratsuka? Suddenly wrapped in Hiratsuka Shizuka's gentle embrace, Hikigaya's heart raced wildly like a startled deer. He froze, completely at a loss. On the bridge, the sea breeze blew softly around them. A shy young man being held in the arms of a mature older woman, this scene painted a picturesque and tender moment. It was gentle. It was warm. Hiratsuka Sensei's embrace brought a sense of safety. And what was that? It smelled so good. Hiratsuka Sensei's gentle embrace was way too unfair. Hikigaya's body trembled slightly. His hands, almost moving of their own accord, ached to hold the woman before him, to wrap around her, to feel more of that warmth. But just as that instinct surged, the image of Hiratsuka Sensei's earlier words, her guidance, and Yuki no Shida's face flashed through his mind. In the end, he held himself back. Hands trembling, he let them fall to his sides, letting her hold him without returning the embrace. Feeling a bit better now? Hiratsuka's voice was soft, her tone gentle. Why yeah. A lot better. Hikigaya replied haltingly. Haha, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Hiratsuka smiled and slowly let go of him. It's about time. I'll drive you back to Chiba now. Be sure to spend some proper time with Yuki no Shida once you're home. With that, she turned to walk back toward the car. Hikigaya stood there in silence, watching her retreating figure. Just as she reached the door, he suddenly called out, Wait, Hiratsuka-sensei. She turned back, a playful grin tugging at her lips. What, you want me to keep holding you? You little punk trying to take advantage of your teacher? And no. That's not it. His face flushed red. He shook his head quickly, then took a deep breath and said, Advanced Nurturing High is nothing like a regular high school like Sobu. Most of the students there come with special problems. For someone like you, teaching there, it's honestly a loss. Huh? You brat, are you actually worried about me now? Hiratsuka laughed and scolded. Don't worry. I'm doing fine. Any student who gets out of line, I'll knock him back in place with my fists. She raised her fist as she spoke, swinging it through the air with such force that Hikigaya could almost hear the wind whooshing. Yup. That's the iron fist of Hiratsuka-sensei for you. Terrifying as ever. Watching her exaggerated punches, Hikigaya chuckled wryly. Huh? Iron Fist? Not a name I came up with. Hikigaya quickly clarified. Still swinging her fists, Hiratsuka growled, Those damn kids giving me ridiculous nicknames. They better hope I never find out who started it, or they're dead meat. With that intimidating aura, she looked like a fearsome demon straight out of a manga. Hikigaya couldn't help but shiver as flashbacks of her wrestling techniques came to mind. They were equal parts dramatic and oddly alluring. Alright, let's get going. Like a cool heroine, Hiratsuka gave him a sharp turn and headed for the car. But Hikigaya reached out and grabbed her arm. Intimidation can work, sure, but only if you actually can back it up. That's what makes it effective. Well, duh. Of course I can back it up. No. Hikigaya shook his head, eyes serious as he looked at her. For delinquents or students who outright defy authority, yeah, violence might work. But the students at Advanced Nurturing High, they're cunning. They won't come at you head-on like the idiots at Sobu. And besides, you've got one critical weakness. What the hell are you talking about? Hiratsuka scoffed. You underestimating me? I don't need a lecture. Worry about yourself. I'm taking you back, let's go. She tried to break free and head toward the car. Hiratsuka-sensei. Holding on tightly, Hikigaya took a deep breath and said, from the bottom of his heart, you're too kind. Eh? Hiratsuka froze. Hikigaya continued. You put up that whole iron fist act to scare them, but deep down, you care more about your students than anyone else. You love them more than anyone else. Whenever they're in trouble, you're always the first to think about how to help, how to support them. Hi Hikigaya, what are you even saying? Hiratsuka looked at him, dazed. Hikigaya pressed on, you once told me, being too kind only makes people worry. Let me return those words to you now. Advanced Nurturing High isn't like Sobu at all. It's full of complicated students, each with their own issues. Sure, Hiratsuka-sensei was strong. But managing a class like that, all by herself? The pressure must be crushing. And knowing her, she'd want to help every single one of them, no matter how broken they were. Honestly, someone like Haruno would be more suited for a place like that, a devil in disguise. But Hiratsuka-sensei? She was just too kind for that kind of place. Hikigaya, you. She stared at him, stunned. Her eyes flicked away after a few seconds, and she mumbled, you don't need to worry about me. Just mind your own business. Sigh. As I thought. You're just too kind, Hiratsuka-sensei. With those words Hikigaya pulled her into an embrace. Why you Hikigaya? What are you? What do you think you're doing? You comforted me earlier. Now it's my turn to comfort you. Why you brat? She pouted, half muttering, but as she breathed in the calm, steady warmth of the boy in her arms, she gradually relaxed. Before she realized it, her own arms had wrapped around him in return. And in the end, like a delicate woman, she leaned into his chest. Thank you. That soft, tender voice. It was like silk gliding through his ears. All the iron fist intimidation was gone in this moment. Hiratsuka Shizuka was just a beautiful, vulnerable woman who drew out your sympathy and affection. Add to that her mature charm. Her sensuous figure. There was no denying it. Hiratsuka-sensei, in this moment, was simply too incredible. Hiratsuka-sensei. At the end of the day, she was still a woman. PP Professor Hiratsuka. Hikigaya. Their eyes locked. The air between them sizzled, as though sparks were about to fly, but just then, a ringtone shattered the silence. The flushed pair snapped out of it in an instant. Scrambling for his phone, Hikigaya's hands trembled as he saw the name on the screen. Yuki Noshita? Chapter 222, Yuki Noshita in a state of emergency. Hubby, let me vent. Afternoon. Yuki Noshita stood restlessly outside the shopping mall, waiting for her boyfriend. He wouldn't ditch me, would he? Could he be doing something indecent with Hiratsuka-sensei in the car right now? After all, Hikigaya-kun's affection for Hiratsuka-sensei is way too high. And Hiratsuka-sensei basically threw herself into his arms. A mature beauty like her seducing Hikigaya-kun. My poor Hikigaya-kun. Sob Hikigaya-kun, Hikigaya-kun, Hikigaya-kun. Sorry, I'm late. A familiar voice suddenly entered Yuki Noshita's ears. She turned to look. It was Hikigaya, drenched in sweat. Hikigaya-kun. Her face lit up. A wave of indescribable relief surged in her chest. She rushed to his side and wrapped her arms around him tightly. You're finally here. I was worried you got snatched away by another woman. How could that happen? Hikigaya gave a sheepish smile and explained, I ran into Hiratsuka-sensei and chatted with her for a bit. Hiratsuka-sensei, huh? Yeah. Hikigaya briefly explained what had happened with Hiratsuka Shizuka. Huh? He actually didn't hide it from me. Feigning playfulness, Yuki Noshita teased, you're still as fond of Hiratsuka-sensei as ever. I wonder. If you were a few years older, would you have chosen her instead? Huh? That sharp question caught Hikigaya off guard. Sigh, I knew it right now, I only see you, Yuki Noshita. Just as Yuki Noshita was sighing, Hikigaya grabbed her right hand earnestly. Hikigaya-kun. Yuki Noshita stared at him, stunned. This is our date today. Let's not talk about other women. Come on, let's go watch that movie. Interlacing their fingers, Hikigaya smiled gently. Yuki no Shita blushed and gripped his hand tightly. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level -1, hee, I knew it. The woman Hikigaya-kun loves most is me. The two of them walked toward the mall's theater. They bought some snacks and 2 tickets to a romance film. Then they entered the screening room. As expected of a romance film, it was heavy on the sentiment. But for Hikigaya and Yuki no Shita, the melodrama didn't really land. Instead, some of the spicier scenes like the bedroom sequences left them both blushing furiously. Honestly, if she didn't have to pretend to be modest in front of her boyfriend, she probably would have blurted out, "Let's just go get a room already." Right there in the theater. Hikigaya-kun, I need to go to the restroom. Clearly overstimulated by the movie, Yuki no Shita whispered softly, and truth be told, she really did need to go. "I'll go with you." Hikigaya replied quietly as well. "Eh? Together? Something wrong?" "And no, let's go together then." Yuki no Shita's cheeks flushed as she whispered back. Wait a second. Is Hikigaya-kun hinting at something? Could he actually be planning to do it with me in the public restroom? Oh my. What a naughty boy. He really can't hold it in, huh? Heart racing with embarrassment, Yuki no Shita tiptoed out of the theater alongside him. But then after just one comment, Hikigaya headed straight into the men's restroom. Yuki no Shita stood there stunned, feeling a strange sense of disappointment. Just like that? Ugh. What am I even thinking? Face red, she gave herself a firm pat on the cheek. Calm down. Doing it in a theater restroom is way too outrageous. Sigh. I'll just wait until we get a hotel room. In any case, she had to seriously lower Hikigaya's corruption level today no matter what. After the movie ended, the two walked out of the theater, both with crimson faces. There were way too many those kinds of scenes. Stuff like that shouldn't even be allowed in normal theaters. Hikigaya grumbled. Sorry. I was the one who picked the movie. Yuki no Shita murmured apologetically. It's not your fault. The cover and summary were way too misleading. Hikigaya shook his head. So, where to next? Yuki no Shita hesitated. Ugh, can I just say let's hurry up and get a hotel room? But of course, for someone as reserved as her, saying something like that out loud was next to impossible. So, with no better option, she gave the default answer, the aquarium. After the aquarium, they went to the amusement park. After that, they had dinner. Then they wandered through the mall again. On the surface, Yuki no Shita remained composed. But inside? She was panicking. It was already dark. This was an emergency. Sigh. Looks like I'll have to make the first move after all. Taking a deep breath, Yuki no Shita turned to Hikigaya with a gentle smile. Hikigaya-kun. You're not scared, are you? Scared of you? Please. Hikigaya rolled his eyes. And just like that, they bantered their way right into a hotel. And wouldn't you know it, they ended up at the hotel where Kawasaki worked part-time. And she just so happened to be the one at the front desk. Hikigaya and Kawasaki exchanged secret glances. Of course, Yuki no Shita, fully aware of the situation, pretended not to notice a thing and clung to Hikigaya's arm as they headed upstairs. At that moment, her mind was occupied with one single goal: lower Hikigaya's corruption level and vent all the frustration I've been bottling up this week. Once they reached the room, well then, since Hikigaya-kun is so eager to prove himself, why don't you go ahead and do it? Yuki no Shita gently locked the door, then smiled sweetly at him. Aren't we going to shower first? What, are you scared? Need time to prepare? Yuki no Shita giggled, continuing to tease him. No, it's just I'm sweaty. Hikigaya looked away, truthfully, because there was still a trace of another woman's scent on him. I don't mind how my Hikigaya-kun smells. Yuki no Shita smiled slyly. If you're scared, just say so. I'll go easy on you, my dear husband. Hikigaya's face turned bright red. What did you just call me? Did you just? Ahem, let's make things a little more romantic. With cheeks just as red, Yuki no Shita stammered, and you? Stop calling me Yuki no Shita. Call me baby. With that, she gently stepped closer to him and wrapped her arms around his waist. Hubby Yuki no Shita. Be baby. Hubby Yuki no Shita, today is absolutely unfair. Ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level -1, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level -2, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level, chapter 223, Yuki no Shita, the husband taming tyrant, begging won't help. I'll wear you out, darling. Hikigaya and Yuki no Shita had been busy late into the night. The moonlight outside was beautiful tonight, casting a soft glow over the couple's bed. Both of them had their eyes closed, lying quietly. However, as a gentle breeze drifted in through the window and brushed against Yuki no Shita's face, her eyelids fluttered slightly before she slowly opened her drowsy eyes. A faint light seemed to flicker in them as she gazed at the boy beside her, a look both indulgent and complicated. She wanted to sleep. She really did. But no matter what, she just couldn't fall asleep. Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level, 20 out of 100, ugh. Why is it still stuck at 20? Yuki no Shito had tried everything to lower her beloved husband's corruption level. She poured her heart and soul into showing him her love, putting everything she learned into practice. And yet, even after all that effort, it had stopped at 20. No matter what she did, it was enough to make her want to scream. She pursed her lips, looking at the handsome boy beside her as her heart thudded in her chest. Hikigaya was hers. That wasn't up for debate. Tonight, she had to find a way to bring that corruption level into the single digits or she wouldn't be able to sleep in peace. She quietly lifted the covers and got out of bed, heading for the bathroom. First things first, the restroom. On the way, she opened her systems shop and bought another enhancement potion. Maybe it's just a time issue. Looks like I'll have to work even harder, she murmured, staring at the pink vial before downing it in one go. Once she carefully finished the potion, she pulled her pajama pants back on and flushed the toilet. Then she tiptoed back into bed. She made a few small, deliberate noises, hoping to wake Hikigaya. No luck. The boy was sound asleep, completely unbothered. Sighing, Yuki no Shito gave his shoulder a gentle shake. Hikigaya-kun. Hikigaya-kun. He didn't open his eyes, just mumbled groggily, "What is it?" "Ugh. Now what?" She couldn't just blurt out, "Honey, I wanna keep going with. You know." "No way. Too embarrassing." "Ahem. It's just a little cold. Can you hold me?" she asked timidly. He responded, pulling her into his arms without hesitation. In his sleep, he murmured, "Yuki no Shito. Love you. I love you too, darling." "Ugh." Yuki no Shito snapped out of her love-struck haze. "Seriously? That's it? Just a hug? No further reaction?" She looked at the sleeping boy in disbelief. Was this all she was getting? Well, if that's the case, she'd just have to take the initiative herself. Taking a deep breath, she leaned in and kissed him gently. "Still sleeping, huh? Let's see you try to sleep through this." After only a few seconds, Hikaya's eyes flew open. Instinctively, he pulled away, coughing awkwardly. What are you doing?" "That wasn't me." "Why, you kissed me first." Yuki no Shito stammered, feigning innocence and turning away shyly. "I kissed you?" Hikigaya touched his lips in confusion. "Wait. Was I dreaming just now and accidentally?" "Must have been," she replied calmly, blinking at him. "What were you dreaming about? What kind of dream makes you kiss me in your sleep?" He looked away, avoiding her gaze. "Nothing, really." "Nothing?" she pressed. "Tell me honestly. Was it a dream about another girl?" "What? No way." He protested immediately. "Liar. He couldn't even look me in the eye. He probably was dreaming about some other girl, doing who knows what with her." "Humphrey. Honestly, even if you were with another girl, as long as she was part of the questline and helped you gain points, I could maybe live with it." With a soft smile, she gently cupped his face and said sweetly, "Of course, I know you'd never think about another girl. The girl in your dream. It was me, wasn't it?" Yeah." His face turned bright red as he nodded. "You should have just said so." She giggled. "So Hikigaya-kun, you do want to do that, right?" "Eh?" He blinked. "That?" he repeated dumbly. "Don't play innocent." I'm not. I really wasn't thinking that way." "Humphrey," says the guy who kissed and hugged me. Yuki no Shito pouted. "Wait, that was your mouth says no, but your actions. You're a very dishonest husband, you know." She poked him lightly in the chest. I really don't have that kind of thought right now. It's almost 11. He added frantically. "I just want to sleep, seriously, I need to rest." Okay, don't be so tsundere." Yuki no Shito blushed and whispered, I'm saying yes, okay? I'm agreeing this time." "Huh?" Hikigaya stared at her in disbelief, totally stunned by her soft, bashful expression. But then he snapped back to reality and shook his head. "Let's just leave it tonight. It's already really late. We should sleep." With that, he dove back under the covers. Yuki no Shito stood frozen. "What? Even after this, you still say no?" "No way. You can't just fall asleep now." "What about me? I even took the potion. If you say no, I'm going to explode tonight." "Ugh, get up. Don't pretend to sleep. Come on, wake up." She shook him hard. "I'm seriously tired. Can we just do this in the morning?" "Oh, still trying to play hard to get, huh? Want me to be the one to initiate again?" "I'm not playing. I'm just exhausted." "Yeah, Sure, keep pretending. Whether you agree or not, you're agreeing tonight. Yuki no Shita, please, I just want to sleep. Have mercy, babe. Please. Oh, now you're begging? She snapped. Watching him curl up under the covers, trembling like a scared animal, Yuki no Shita put on a calm, teasing front, but deep inside, she was starting to panic. Begging won't help. A wife's duties must be fulfilled. Chapter 224, Morning Mayhem. Yuki no Shita's desperate plea, you. Please, have mercy, darling. The next morning, Hikigaya was the first to groggily open his eyes. He glanced at the girl lying beside him, his girlfriend, Yuki no Shita, and let out a heavy sigh. Last night, she had been terrifying. Absolutely unstoppable. And yet he had been working out lately, trying to improve his stamina. Maybe it was because of what happened earlier that day with Horikata. Could that have drained his energy? Hukuman furrowed his brows thoughtfully, gently tucking the blanket around Yuki no Shita's shoulders. Just then his phone, resting on the nightstand, started to vibrate. Someone was calling. He glanced at the screen, and his pupils shrank in alarm. Kawasaki. Hukuman quickly checked Yuki no Shita, still fast asleep, not disturbed by the noise. Breathing a small sigh of relief, he carefully picked up the phone, slipped out of bed, and tiptoed into the bathroom. After locking the door behind him, he cautiously returned the call. Hello, Kawasaki. Hey, Hukuman. Came a bright voice on the other end. Sorry for calling so early. Cough. Are you and Yuki no Shita up yet? I just got up. She's still sleeping. Hukuman kept his voice low. What's up? Well, Kawasaki hesitated, fumbling for words. After a pause, she blurted out, how did it go last night? Huh? His face turned bright red. You're seriously calling me this early just to ask that? I just want to know, how far did things go? Were you happy? Did it work? Kawasaki asked shyly. Hukuman didn't know how to respond. When he didn't answer, Kawasaki continued, wait, don't tell me. You still couldn't take Yuki no Shita down? I need to keep working on my stamina. He cut her off with a resigned sigh. There was silence on the line. Anything else? If not, I'm hanging up. Wait. Kawasaki quickly spoke up. I have a suggestion. A suggestion? Hukuman paused. Kawasaki, yeah. It's a little dirty, I admit, but if it helps you finally win against Yuki no Shita, I say go for it. Hukuman, Kawasaki, are you serious? I'm the one getting bullied by Yuki no Shita, and yet you're acting more anxious than I am and giving me advice? Kawasaki. You're too kind. She continued, mornings are when guys, are usually at their peak. Physically. Spiritually. You get what I mean, right? More or less. Hukuman answered awkwardly. And we girls, well, it's the opposite. Right after waking up, we're at our weakest. So this is your chance. All you have to do is... Her voice trailed off. You want me to ambush her in the morning? Hukuman's mouth twitched. He shook his head. Even if your logic makes sense, that might work on normal girls. But Yuki no Shita? No. It'll work. Kawasaki said with total confidence. You're really sure? Hukuman looked troubled. Trust me, Hukuman. I'm a girl. I know how our bodies work. Kawasaki said, deeply embarrassed. She's still asleep. If you go now, you'll definitely succeed. Why are you so confident? Because. Kawasaki stammered for a second, then mumbled vaguely, because. You'll see for yourself. Just trust me, okay? Whatever Yuki no Shita says, ignore it. Don't let her get away. Wait, what? Kawasaki? Hello? Beep. She'd hung up. Hukuman sighed. Was he really going to follow Kawasaki's advice and do that with Yuki no Shita first thing in the morning? He rubbed his sore lower back. Whatever. Let's do this. Taking a deep breath, he stepped out of the bathroom. He couldn't keep letting himself get steamrolled by his girlfriend. He was a man, damn it, he needed to reclaim some ground. He crept up to the bed, slipped under the covers, and gently nudged Yuki no Shita's smooth shoulder. But she was out like a rock. Mumbled something like stop it, hubby. And went right back to sleep. Sighing, Hukuman leaned down and softly kissed her lips. NMGH. That was enough to wake her. Still bleary-eyed and clearly exhausted, Yuki no Shita groaned and pushed him away. You damn bottom feeder. What the heck are you doing so early? Time to get up, sleepyhead. Hukuman chuckled, coughing lightly to cover his embarrassment. Let me sleep a little longer. Yuki no Shita shot him a sleepy glare and tried to snuggle deeper into the blankets. She hadn't slept well last night at all. No matter how hard she tried, her beloved husband's corruption level wouldn't go down. Even now, Hukuman Hikaya's corruption level, 20 out of 100, that frustration had kept her up all night. She'd only drifted off around 3 or 4 in the morning. You still want to sleep? Hukuman smirked. What happened to that fire from last night? Come on, up you go. Hukuman. Why you're not thinking of? She sat up in alarm, eyes wide. I just want to, wake you up a little. Seeing her panicked face, Hukuman hesitated, eyes darting away. That's all. What? This early? No way. Ding. Hukuman Hikaya's corruption level -1. Wait. Why did his points go down when I said no? Yuki no Shida. Are you scared? Who's scared? If you insist, then. I suppose I don't mind. But I need to use the bathroom first. After that, I'll properly deal with you. Yuki no Shida huffed. Bathroom, huh? That word jogged Hukuman's memory. Kawasaki's advice. As Yuki no Shida tried to get up, he suddenly grabbed her arm and pulled her back. Wait. Just hold it a bit longer. Eh? Her face turned pale. You. Are you crazy? Let go. I need to go. I have to go right now, or I'll. Ding. Hukuman Hikaya's corruption level -1. Hukuman, please. Let me go. Have mercy. Ding. Hukuman Hikaya's corruption level -2. What the heck? Why is it that when I beg, his corruption level goes down? Chapter 225, Yuki no Shida, fell apart. Yuki no Shida sat on the toilet, unable to gather her thoughts for a long time. Hikigaya Hukuman corruption level, 12 out of 100, from last night to this morning, the corruption level hadn't budged in the slightest yet now, somehow, it had dropped. Could it be that letting Hikigaya-kun see my more vulnerable side actually reduced his corruption level? But he used to enjoy being bullied by me. What's changed? Most likely, Hikigaya Hukuman is getting a little tired of it, huh? Startled by the system's sudden comment, Yuki no Shida blurted out, tired of it? He's tired of me? Not of you, per se. Just that you've always bullied him, and it's always the same routine. He's growing a bit bored of it. Ah. I see. Yuki no Shida trailed off, unsure what to say. Come to think of it, the girl Hikigaya-kun slept with yesterday, Suzune Horikata, was the one getting thoroughly dominated. Could that have awakened something in him? Could it be that, instead of being bullied, Hikigaya now prefers to do the bullying? Does bullying girls bring him more pleasure now? No way. As that thought crossed her mind, Yuki no Shida instinctively tensed her thighs, her soul nearly leaving her body. Just then, Hikigaya's apologetic voice came from outside the bathroom. Sorry, Yuki no Shida. I didn't realize you were in such a rush just now. I'm really sorry. Eh? Wait, did my husband just apologize? Snapping out of her thoughts, Yuki no Shida quickly tried to compose herself and responded with feigned calm. It's fine. I was in a bit of a hurry, but really, I'm okay. Just okay? Of course. Yuki no Shida replied with its sincere flair. It was still within my control, so don't worry, but you clearly. No, I wasn't. Face turning awkward, she retorted sharply. How can you tell I was already desperate? I was just going to the bathroom, that's all. Free with my endurance, I could have held on much longer. After a pause, Hikigaya replied cautiously, but the sound. And how long you were in there? Those gave you away. Huh? The sound? And the time I spent. Yuki no Shida froze for a second, then her face flushed crimson with embarrassment. She shouted back in a fluster, why you pervert? Eavesdropping on a girl in the bathroom? This room's tiny. Hikigaya replied helplessly from outside. No matter where I stand, I can hear everything. Don't listen. Yuki no Shida clenched her thighs again, utterly mortified. Cover your ears. Right now. Huh? This is too embarrassing. Just don't listen anymore. You already finished, didn't you? I don't care. Just cover them now. She demanded, overwhelmed by shame. She hadn't actually finished earlier. She'd been so deep in thought about her beloved husband that she forgot to go all at once. How utterly humiliating. All right, fine. With a sigh of resignation, Hikigaya complied. Hikigaya-kun Yuki no Shida called sweetly a few times to make sure he wasn't peeking or listening. Only after confirming he'd obeyed did she finally breathe a sigh of relief. When she finally finished and was washing her hands, her gaze drifted once more to that dreaded corruption level, still 12. To be safe, she needed to bring it down to the single digits. Should she let her beloved husband bully her again? With that in mind, Yuki no Shida opened the system shop, preparing to buy a strengthening potion. This morning, she hadn't just needed the bathroom, she'd also skipped the potion. The result? A total defeat. Beyond humiliating. However, just as she was about to make the purchase, The system spoke up. It is advised that the host refrains from using the potion. Huh? No potion? Are you trying to get me killed? Yukino Shita snapped at the system in frustration. If you take the strengthening potion, given your current mindset, you might end up turning the tables and bullying Hikigaya Hukuman instead, and no way. I'll control myself. She protested, face burning. I'll pretend to let Hikigaya-kun bully me. I'll let him take the lead on purpose. Scan complete. Host's acting skills are too poor to convincingly fake it. Recommendation: don't use the potion. Use your real self to lower Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level. Ugh. Please endure, host. According to our calculations, you only need to hold out for 30 more minutes. 30 minutes? You're trying to kill me. In a flash, Yukino Shita's face turned deathly pale. This is all for reducing Hikigaya Hukuman's corruption level. It's for your own good. Please hang in there. Once it's lower, there's no reason you can't get revenge later. It's not like we're asking you to get bullied by him every day. The system's coaxing words oddly made sense. You're right. If I let Hikigaya-kun bully me now, and then take my revenge once his corruption level is down, it balances out. Tit for tat. If you hit me once, I'll hit you back once. That way, neither of us gets bored. The only real downside: every time his corruption level rises, she'll have to endure being bullied again just to bring it back down. That experience alone is enough to break her spirit. Letting out a long sigh, Yukino Shita's gaze sharpened with resolve. Fine then. If not me, who? For a better future. I'll give it everything I've got. Come to think of it, Hikigaya-kun was a bit too restrained just now. If I said something like darling, come give it to me hard, wouldn't the results be even better? A dangerous thought crossed her mind. She opened the door. Having finished her business, Yukino Shita called out to Hikigaya-kun. I object. 30 minutes later. If I weren't feeling off today, there's no way I'd lose to some small fry like you. Humphrey. Rubbing her sore thighs, Yukino Shita muttered under her breath to the departing Hikigaya, face flushed with embarrassment. Got it. Hikigaya replied with a wry smile. Let's go check out. Let's. She stepped forward and clung to his arm, finally satisfied. The two left the hotel room. Hikigaya Hukuman corruption level, 5 out of 100, phew. Finally. All that effort paid off. If not for her iron will, she might have broken down in tears long ago. To be honest, her husband was insanely strong now. No wonder Horikata was begging for mercy last night. It made sense now. Yukino Shita couldn't imagine how a regular girl, without any potions, could possibly keep up with her man. Not collapsing was already a miracle. Just now, she'd secretly taken a recovery potion to restore her body to normal. Only then did she avoid making a complete fool of herself. Chapter 226, Kawasaki. Ugh. If you touch my weak spot, I'll. After leaving the hotel, Hikigaya and Yukino spent the morning looping through a few more spots on their date. At the train station waiting area, the two of them sat on a bench waiting for the next train. Yukino handed Hikigaya a can of Max coffee. Here, your favorite. Eh? Taking the Max coffee? Hikigaya deadpanned. Did you sneak a few sips again? I'm your girlfriend. What's wrong with me drinking half? Ugh, it's like you left me your leftovers to clean up. Hikigaya couldn't help but mutter. Isn't that what husbands are supposed to do? Yukino beamed. You're a demon. You're definitely still holding a grudge about what happened this morning, aren't you? Hikigaya muttered, pouting. During their date that morning, he had been mercilessly roasted by Yukino's razor-sharp tongue. This morning? What happened this morning, Higa-kun? Yukino smiled sweetly. See? Women are terrifying creatures. I don't remember a thing. Ha ha ha. Hikigaya laughed awkwardly, pretending he had no idea what she was talking about. Drink up, okay? Want me to feed you? Yukino asked gently, eyes full of warmth. No need, I've got it. Hikigaya shook his head and downed the half-drunk can of Max coffee in one go. Yukino's eyes sparkled as she blinked in satisfaction. Mission complete, she'd gotten her beloved to drink the Max coffee, now enhanced with a secret energy booster. His stamina bar was officially refilled. Just in case. After all, what if something indescribable happened between him and another girl tonight? If he ran out of stamina and ended up bedridden thanks to someone else, that would be a problem. Why are you staring at me like that? Having finished the coffee, Hikigaya gave the smiling Yukino a puzzled look. Oh, nothing. Was it good? Yukino asked with a smile. Doesn't Max coffee always taste the same? Oh. I get it. She wants it to be romantic, huh? It was full of Yukino's flavor. Delicious. Huh? Yukino's cheeks flushed bright red, and she playfully glared at him. What are you saying? So embarrassing. Ahem. Isn't that what you wanted me to say? Hikigaya coughed lightly. Even if that's true, you shouldn't say it out loud. Eh? Both of them blushed like high schoolers who had just started dating. Not a trace of the mature, already had their honeymoon couple vibes remained. After walking Yukino home, Hikigaya took the train back to his own place. Yukino had tried to seduce him into staying the night, of course. But there was no way Hikigaya would fall for that. He rejected her instantly. I mean, Yukino's house? That's her home turf. Sure, he'd scored a bit of a win against her that morning, but Hikigaya wasn't arrogant enough to get cocky. Honestly, if she hadn't needed to use the bathroom, he wouldn't have stood a chance. The horrors of Yukino's methods, how terrifying, cruel, and downright twisted they were still fresh in his memory. Still, Yukino this morning was just too cute. Hikigaya murmured with a smirk. Looks like I need to keep training. Gotta keep up the effort. Tonight too I'll give it my all. I'll make Yukino. Ahem. Nighttime. Hikigaya showed up at the park as usual to work out. Miro was there, busy prepping for an upcoming competition. She gave him a brief greeting and jumped straight into training. Weekend morning sessions at the gym, night training too. Miro really was going all in. Hardcore. Hikigaya sighed to himself. He wasn't exactly a gym noob anymore, so he didn't need Mira's help constantly. Worth noting, though, tonight, Mira wasn't the only familiar face at the park. Mrs. Uegahama and Mrs. Sawamura had also shown up. And Kawasaki was here too. Hikigaya, can we run together? Before the two madams could come over, Kawasaki strode up, bold as ever, and asked with a determined glint in her eyes. Sure. Seeing the look in her eyes, Hikigaya had no choice but to nod, and quickly turned to the two women in the distance. Sorry, Mrs. Uegahama, Mrs. Sawamura, if you need anything, let me know later. I'll jog with Kawasaki for a bit first. The two women smiled and nodded, showing no objection. Dressed in elegant kimono, they stood in stark contrast to Kawasaki's sporty attire. Clearly, they were out for a stroll, not a workout. You know those two ladies? Kawasaki asked, brow furrowed. They're Sawamura-san and Uegahama-san's mothers. Hikigaya explained. Eh? Those are Uegahama's and Sawamura's moms? Kawasaki blinked in surprise and couldn't help but steal another glance. They look so young and pretty. Like they're only in their 20s. Good skincare, I guess. Hikigaya gave a dry cough and quickly changed the subject. Anyway, let's get warmed up first. Okay. Kawasaki nodded, casting a wary glance toward the two elegant women. Even though she knew it was ridiculous, something about them screamed dangerous, especially around Hikigaya. After their warm-up, the two began jogging, one behind the other. 20 minutes later, they ended up in a quieter part of the park without even realizing it. Slowing to a walk, they caught their breath. Kawasaki glanced around cautiously, and seeing no one nearby, bit her lip and leaned toward Hikigaya. Hikigaya, about this morning. How was it? Not bad. Hikigaya answered after a pause, then looked over at her. Thanks, Kawasaki. For actually telling me something like that. Ahem. It's something you would have found out sooner or later anyway. Her cheeks turned pink as she looked down, fumbling with her words. But just that alone isn't enough to take down Yukino Shida. I mean, she's not gonna need to go to the bathroom every time. I'll keep training hard. Hikigaya said earnestly. Training's kind of slow though. Kawasaki hesitated. Actually, there's a faster way if you want to take Yukino Shida down like this morning. Eh? What way? Hikigaya blushed, curiosity piqued. Find a girl's weak spot. A girl's weak spot? Yeah. Kawasaki looked up at him, cheeks burning, her voice barely above a whisper. Every girl has a weak spot. If you find it, and tease it, and go after it, she'll give in real fast. Like, if you had touched mine earlier. I might have. As she spoke, her face turned so red she couldn't even finish the sentence and quickly looked away. Chapter 227, Kawasaki, personally teaching her best friend's husband how to discover a woman's true weakness. Girls' weaknesses, huh? Hikigaya mulled it over. Suddenly, an image from a certain anime popped into his head. His face flushed red, startled. Wait. Don't tell me you mean. You get it? Kawasaki asked again. Why yeah, I get it. Quickly calming his chaotic thoughts, Hikigaya gave a dry cough. Thanks, Kawasaki. I'll try to find Yukino Shita's weakness. No need to thank me. After saying that, Kawasaki averted her gaze, opened her mouth as if to speak, then hesitated. Hikigaya, is there something else? Well, a woman's weakness is usually really well hidden. Kawasaki spoke shyly. To better develop your ability to find that kind of thing, I figured I could help you. Taking several deep breaths, she mustered her courage and looked Hikigaya straight in the eye. Huh? Hikigaya was stunned. Wait, you mean you want me to find your weakness? Yeah. Kawasaki shyly lowered her head and nodded. That's probably not a good idea. Hikigaya paused, then quickly shook his head. Kawasaki replied softly, if it's you, I don't mind. Hikigaya hesitated. But still. Hikigaya, this is for Yuki no Shida. Don't you want the two of you to be even happier together? Kawasaki. Looking at the sincere girl before him, Hikigaya found himself dazed. Then he gave a wry smile. You're too kind. Don't be so considerate toward us, think about yourself more. Being kind is just what friends do. Kawasaki explained in a flustered tone. Friends, huh? Hikigaya sighed. If it weren't for Yuki no Shida, then maybe, Kawasaki. Huh? Just as he was about to say more, Kawasaki pressed a finger against his lips. Don't say anything. Blushing deeply, she grabbed his hand and started pulling him toward a nearby tree. Kawasaki, wait, whoa, she's strong. When women get serious, their strength really is an unsolvable mystery. Kawasaki forcibly dragged Hikigaya behind the tree. Under the cover of the thick trunk and the darkness of night, even though the tree stood by the roadside, it was almost impossible to notice anyone hiding behind it. Hikigaya. Enough talking, let's begin. With that, Kawasaki closed her eyes. Seeing the girl standing in front of him, like a flower waiting to be picked, Hikigaya gave a bitter laugh. Kawasaki, do you really think I'd just pull down your pants or something? Startled, Kawasaki's eyes shot wide open. Huh? I thought you were just finding my weakness, why would you take off my pants? Eh? Hikigaya looked at her, speechless. How else am I supposed to find your weakness if I don't take them off? Kawasaki stared at him in utter confusion. What are you even talking about? Hikigaya also fell silent. They stared at each other, he looked at her, she looked at him, and both stood frozen. But as someone who had already become a woman, Kawasaki quickly caught on. The next second, her previously composed face turned an impossible shade of red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wait. Don't tell me you thought I meant you were going to do that to me? No way, Hikigaya. You can't. And no. That's not what Hikigaya's face turned beet red. Utterly embarrassed, he stammered, Sorry. I misunderstood. But based on what you were saying earlier, what exactly did you mean by weakness? Just a normal weakness. Like, for example, I'm kind of really sensitive if someone keeps touching my ears, so. Crap, why did I just blurt that out? Her body stiffened. Kawasaki quickly covered her mouth with both hands. Huh? Hikigaya had a moment of realization. So that's what you meant. So it was a surface-level weakness. Cough cough. He'd mistaken it for a much deeper weakness. What else could I have meant? And you actually thought I'd just let you? Sorry. Hikigaya awkwardly apologized again. I should have known. Kawasaki is such a pure girl, there's no way she'd help me with that kind of thing. Both of them stood there, utterly disoriented in the night breeze. A few seconds passed. Hikigaya broke the silence with an awkward cough. Alright, I think I get it now. I'll try to look for Yuki no Shita's weaknesses. Who knows? Maybe she's also super sensitive about her ears. Hikigaya. Just as he turned around, Kawasaki suddenly grabbed his arm. What is it, Kawasaki? Let's try it your way. Just once. After all, the method you mentioned might actually be more effective than mine. Wait, Kawasaki, Hikigaya was stunned. No way. I can't do that to you. Absolutely not. I don't mind. As long as it helps you too. Kawasaki looked at him bashfully, but her eyes burned with determination. Hikigaya quickly turned away, drawing a deep breath. You have to understand, my heart belongs to Yuki no Shita. I'm her boyfriend. I'll be her husband someday. There's only Yuki no Shita in my heart. If you do this deed, do you think I like you? Staring at him, her face flushed with embarrassment, Kawasaki snapped, I don't have feelings like that for you at all. I just want to take care of a certain need. Yeah. That's it. Just handling my daily needs. Huh? Daily needs? Hikigaya looked at her, stunned. Well, I mean, if it's you, Hikigaya, I can deal with it. It's not like this is our first time. Ahem. If not, then I'd just have to take care of things myself back home. Afraid Hikigaya might think she was a slut, Kawasaki quickly explained. So I figured I'd let you off easy, that's all. And maybe you can get some early experience figuring out how to really find a weakness. The more she talked, the redder her face became. By the end, her voice was practically inaudible. Hikigaya sighed. Kawasaki. Didn't we say last time would be the last time? She froze, clenched her teeth. I'm only doing this for Yuki no Shida. For you too. This is absolutely the last time. Definitely the last time. Come on, start looking. At this point, she wasn't going to let him refuse. W8, Kawa chapter 228, catching them in the act, Sayuri's wisdom, young people really are something, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman's affection for Kawasaki Saki +1, ding. Hikigaya Hukuman was forcibly kissed by Kawasaki Saki, ding. Kawasaki Saki's ear was bitten by Hikigaya Hukuman, ding. Kawasaki Saki? Yuki no Shida, who had been enjoying a relaxing soak in the bath, jolted upright the moment she heard the system's voice echo in her mind. Her eyes snapped open. At this hour of the night, Saki and her Hiki-kun. Cough? And it seemed. They were in a park? This is. Hearing the steady stream of notifications sounding off in her head, Yuki no Shida drew in several sharp breaths. Saki, you really? Sigh. Good thing I gave Hikigaya-kun that stamina potion this morning. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be able to handle Saki tonight. Phew. Dodged a bullet. With her darling now fully recharged, he should be able to keep up with Saki just fine. Yuki no Shida checked Hukuman's current corruption level. Hikigaya Hukuman corruption level, 8 out of 100, still holding steady. Looks like my efforts this morning weren't in vain. She let out a small sigh of relief and smiled. Ahem. Snapping back to her senses, Yuki no Shida coughed awkwardly and quickly reached for the viewing glasses she had placed nearby for emergencies like this. Almost forgot. These needed to be worn. She slipped them on and sank back into the tub. Unfortunately, since it was already dark out, the video quality was abysmal. How am I supposed to watch like this? I can barely see a thing. Yuki no Shida grumbled in frustration. Host may spend points to improve video quality. I wasn't planning on watching it. I'm only doing this to collect more points, that's all. The bonus points after watching purely for the bonuses. Her cheeks flushed red as she stammered righteously, but staring at the screen too long is bad for your eyes, so. I guess upgrading the quality a bit wouldn't hurt. Right? Yuki no Shida spent 1,000 points to upgrade the video to 1080p. And she had to admit. 1080p was a massive improvement. Upgrade to 2K or 4K for even greater point bonuses, the system tempted her in a calm, coaxing tone. Yuki no Shida blinked. How much of a bonus? 2K grants an additional 0.5%, 4K gives a 2% bonus. Not only does the image become clearer, but you earn more points win-win, right? Still in that same tempting tone. This. Yuki no Shida was clearly tempted, but when she saw that 2K cost 5,000 points and 4K required another 20,000 on top of that, she firmly shook her head. Nope, not interested. 1080p is just fine. Now don't distract me while I'm watching. The system went silent. Yuki no Shida reclined in the tub again, continuing to watch the footage through her glasses. These two. Something feels off tonight. Saki's being way too. And Hiki-kun, when did he become so? NGH. She clenched her thighs tightly. While feeling a mix of envy and bitterness, she whispered, Ugh. Hikigaya-kun. I really need you right now too. NGH. Sigh. All she could do now was imagine that Saki was herself. That she was the one there with him. Meanwhile, in another part of the park, Sayuri and Mrs. Uegahama, both dressed in elegant yukatas, strolled arm in arm, chatting casually and enjoying the evening. These days, the two ladies didn't dare go jogging so freely anymore. After all, both were in their 30s, and the last time they ran with Hikkiman, they'd paid the price the next day. Now, they came to the park mainly to walk. And to check in on a certain young man. Sigh. Sayuri, maybe we should just leave Hikigaya-kun alone tonight, said Mrs. Uegahama with a gentle sigh. Let the kid get some real exercise. You mean with that Kawasaki girl? Sayuri smiled knowingly. Don't be indecent. Mrs. Uegahama shot her a look. Hikigaya-kun and that Kawasaki girl seem to have a pretty normal relationship. I'd say they're just regular friends. Not necessarily. What if she's got feelings for him? Maybe they're doing some intimate exercise right now, Sayuri said with a sly grin. Obviously they're jogging. Mrs. Uegahama snapped, rolling her eyes. I'm good at reading people. Those two had pure expressions, no romantic vibes whatsoever. Anyway, let's not mess with Hikigaya-kun tonight, got it? Fine, fine. Sayuri shrugged. Guess we'll just eat him up another day, then eh? I thought you were doing this for your daughter? Mrs. Uegahama widened her eyes in shock. I already told you, I don't give a damn about Eri, that airhead. This is all for me, hee hee. Sayuri grinned mischievously, licking her lips. Why you? Aren't you a little old for this kind of behavior? Stop joking around. Mrs. Uegahama blushed, feigning a scolding tone. Sayuri smirked, you can't talk. Don't tell me you don't have feelings for Hikigaya-kun. Well, have a good think about that. I'm off to the restroom. Before Mrs. Uegahama could respond, Sayuri slipped free of her arm and stretched lazily. Wait, you're not seriously going to seduce Hikigaya-kun, are you? Don't believe me? Then come to the restroom with me. Sayuri replied with a smile. Forget it. Go by yourself. Seeing that Sayuri didn't seem to be lying, Mrs. Uegahama shook her head. And so, Sayuri headed to the public restroom alone. The park's restroom was in a relatively secluded area. As she drew closer, the number of people around dropped sharply. Eventually, there was no one else in sight. But then, though the path was empty, Sayuri suddenly heard a faint sound. That's odd. She instinctively turned toward the trees lining the left side of the path. Among the rows of tall trees, she could swear the sounds were coming from just behind one of them. The voices sounded very familiar. Wasn't that? Curiosity piqued, Sayuri cautiously crept toward the source of the sound. Closer. And closer. Huh? That sound, what the heck? In the next instant, Sayuri's eyes went wide, and she quickly slapped a hand over her mouth. She stood frozen for several seconds. And then Sayuri's eyes couldn't help but widen even more. In a hushed, stunned voice, she murmured, Hey! Young people these days really are something else. Chapter 229, Saki, don't worry about getting pregnant, it's fine. Strange. I could have sworn I heard Hikigaya and Kawasaki's voices. Mira, drenched in sweat after her run, wiped the perspiration from her forehead as she made her way toward the public restroom. As she did, she instinctively glanced at the rows of trees lining the path. Was that my imagination? She rubbed her chin thoughtfully, murmuring to herself, no, it had to be my imagination. There's no way. Sigh, the competition's just around the corner, and I'm still like this. She massaged her temples and let out a sigh. But no matter how she tried to shake it, Hikigaya's face kept flashing through her mind. TCH. Instinctively squeezing her thighs together, Mira pursed her lips, conflicted. With the tournament so close. I should just wait until it's over. I'm counting on you. If you still don't do something about Hikigaya, then I swear I'll. Sigh. Her thighs still tense, Mira let out several more sighs before quickly heading into the restroom. At the same time, behind the nearby trees, Hikigaya and Kawasaki both let out a breath of relief. Phew. That was close. We almost got caught by Mira. Kawasaki clutched her chest, still a little shaken. Hiding behind trees like this was definitely risky business. We should get out of here. Hikigaya sighed, ready to slip away while Mira was inside. Eh? Seeing him about to leave, Kawasaki panicked and quickly grabbed his arm. Hikigaya, why you're leaving already? It's too risky here. And besides, you nearly yuck. You're the one who kept nibbling on my ear while. Cough cough. Anyway, don't go yet. Let me help you train a bit more. Huh? Hikigaya turned to her, hesitant. I think we should stop. But you haven't even gotten the hang of techniques for girls yet. You can't just bail now. Hikigaya, please. Let's keep going, okay? Just a little longer. Kawasaki clung tightly to his arm, refusing to let go. Kawasaki. Seeing her so stubborn, Hikigaya gave a helpless smile. You're being way too kind to me. You. MPH. Just as Kawasaki blushed and tried to retort with its son-dear comeback, Hikigaya suddenly pulled her into an embrace and pressed her against the tree trunk. Hikigaya. Her heart thumped like crazy. She swallowed nervously, flustered. Don't be so hasty. SHH. Mira's coming out. Kawasaki froze, then quickly shut her mouth. The two were pressed close face to face. Hikigaya kept his eyes on the path beyond the trees. Kawasaki, meanwhile, couldn't take her eyes off him. A moment later, Mira finally jogged away, continuing her run. Okay, we should be in the clear now. Hikigaya let out a relieved sigh, only to realize that Kawasaki was still pinned beneath his arm. And when he looked he hadn't noticed before, but Kawasaki's face was flushed a deep, apple red. Her expression practically radiated heat and a strangely enticing scent. Kawasaki? Hikigaya. Don't say anything. Let's keep going, please. Before he could react, Kawasaki suddenly leaned up and kissed him, arms wrapping around him with surprising strength. Hikigaya was stunned. It took everything he had to push her away. Kawasaki. She looked up at him, her eyes full of emotion. Please. Just say yes. Kawasaki. My heart belongs to Yuki no Shida. I know. I've known all along. I'm doing this willingly. You're both my friends, and I'd never try to come between you. I just want to be the spice in your love story. I want to make it more exciting. Hikigaya. Kawasaki, you looking into her eyes, Hikigaya felt a chill. Oh no. Why did it feel like Kawasaki had lost her grip on reality a little? Hikigaya. Just as she leaned in for another kiss, Hikigaya quickly spoke up, Kawasaki, calm down. We can't do this here. You're right. Behind a tree really is too inconvenient. Oh okay then, let's head to the public restroom. Wait, what? And so before Hikigaya could say anything else, Kawasaki grabbed his arm and dragged him toward the restroom. They slipped into the last stall in the women's bathroom. Click. The door locked. Kawasaki turned to him with a tenderness in her gaze, her eyes glittering with determination unlike anything he'd seen before. Hikigaya averted his eyes. You've been standing this whole time. You should sit and rest for a bit. She gestured gently to the toilet seat, encouraging him to sit. Eh? Hikigaya hesitated, scrambling for an excuse. Kawasaki, we didn't bring any protection. I think we should. It's okay. I'm safe today. What? Hikigaya. She gently hugged his arm again, trying to guide him down onto the toilet. Come on, just sit and relax. In the end. Hikigaya sat. Feeling like he was on pins and needles, he stared at the floor. Kawasaki bit her lip, then leaned down and kissed him again. He recoiled in shock, quickly pulling away. This is for Yuki no Shida. To help you beat her, Hikigaya. She moved in again, lips pressing firmly against his. His pupils shrank. For Yuki no Shida. If it was really for her, if this was all to make their future happier. Trembling, Hikigaya raised his hands. With hesitation, with resistance, he wrapped them around Kawasaki's waist. Yuki no Shida, my heart will always belong to you. Everything I'm doing is to surpass you. To make our future brighter. So please. Their lips parted. Their gazes locked, the tension between them drawn tight like a string. Kawasaki. Call me Saki. Saki. At that moment, unnoticed by the two of them, a set of light, careful footsteps echoed into the women's bathroom. They crept into the stall next to theirs. Sat on the toilet quietly. Ear pressed against the wall. It was Sayuri. Hey. Those two kids just can't seem to settle down, can they?